And we are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show without a name. Another episode. Would you believe it? I actually found someone else to do this with me. Welcome to the show, Metal Junkie, a fellow streamer, someone I've just recently met over the last few weeks. Really starting to get along with. I think a guy who has kind of the same mindset I have, and he said, yeah, I'll sit down with you and we'll talk some crazy shit. And I was like, I'm down with talking crazy shit. So here he is. Why don't you say hi, tell everyone a little bit about yourself, my man.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction. And yeah, like you said, we just met each other probably about, I'd say maybe a month and a half ago, maybe. And I don't really remember how I met you. It was just mutual streamers and whatnot, but I truly enjoy his content, and it's always a blast talking. About maybe 2 weeks ago, we were talking in the stream about crazy shit, jet propulsion, alien technology, Bob Lazar, Neuralink, Elon Musk, AI taking over the world. And at a certain point, like after an hour and a half talking about it, we're like, you know what? We need to sit down and do a podcast and talk about anything and everything. So here we are.
Exactly. I usually, when I do podcast, it's usually just about nothing. So I was kind of excited to be like, oh, we're actually going to talk about freaky shit. Like I'll talk about anything with anybody. I really don't care.
Same here.
I just love conversation. I think conversation has really taken a shit over the last 10 years. People don't talk anymore. Not like they used to. I mean, obviously there are groups of people, but I remember conversation being more. I remember sitting down with 5 or 6 people and just talking about shit, and that stuff just doesn't seem to happen anymore.
Yeah,
So,
you're right about that too, because I mean, people then talk these days, and even in social circles out in public, you don't really see that too often unless it's close friends hanging out. You know, there's just no good communication like there used to be, I guess. Like I was telling you last night when I was in your stream, I was looking forward to the podcast because it's a safe place to talk about anything and everything. Because I'll try to talk to people about, and they're close to me, like my friends and stuff. We'll talk about crazy shit, and after a certain point, like 5 minutes talking about it, they're looking at their phone, uninterested. You know what I mean? So I'm glad I found somebody to talk to about crazy shit. Put it that way.
that's so funny. I definitely find that some people just kind of live in their own little bubble. They make this bubble, and they just everything else outside of it is there, but they don't really pay attention to it anymore. It's a weird thing I see happening a lot more nowadays, and yeah, I think you're right. People just if they're not interested, they just pull that phone out and start like,
yeah, that phone is the escape, man. That's how they fucking escape. And because when you see somebody pull out their phone and act like I've seen people do that before, where they pull it out, and not with me, but just in general, they'll press a button, hello, and like nobody's on that phone. You're just using that as an escape to get away from a conversation. I've seen that happen.
I know. I won't lie. I might have done it once, twice when I was younger.
I'm not gonna lie. I've done it too. So I know everybody does it. You know, I've done it. You've done it.
Back then, it wasn't a smartphone though. It was like just a flip phone. I was just trying to get out of a conversation. It wasn't quite the same as it is nowadays.
The old razors, the flip phone, those things were sweet back in the day.
I'm going back even further to like the first little mini
Nokia
flip phones.
No,
the first Motorola, the small one that was like this big.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had one of those. It was like the smallest at the time. It was the smallest phone on the market. You flipped it out, it was about that big, but it was only that small. I think I still have it somewhere. I'm such a geek. But no. So listen, I know you are about aliens, and I dig aliens.
I love aliens. Here, I'll actually show you something that I got right here with me. This is my buddy Aldrin. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
but
go
you
right
brought
ahead.
up aliens, and this is my buddy Aldrin. You guys can see him.
Yeah, well, I can see
him.
He
watches over the ashes of a shattered universe right there, my buddy.
That's so good. I love that. Ashes
you know why he's named Aldrin?
Universe.
Do you know why his name is Aldrin?
Why?
After Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz, yeah.
All right. Yeah, after Buzz Aldrin. It's my little buddy.
So why do so many people think that you guys have never been to the moon? What's that about?
That's actually a good question. Joe Rogan has talked a lot about that, and I've looked up a lot of things about that. I believe we went. It's easier to go to the moon than to fake all that. You got to realize if you fake a moon landing, all of the rocket really shot off. You know, people watched that rocket shoot off into space.
Yep.
From
Exactly.
the launch pad. To fake that with all the money that cost to build back in that time in the 60s, the team that worked and built that rocket, the team that designed the schematics of everything to build the rocket, just everything in general to even just launch that rocket. That's really hard to fake. It would just be easier to go to the moon.
It wouldn't make any sense to do it either. Like, why?
No.
Why?
To fake something like that. I mean, back then during the space race, though, there was that competition between nations, and we were scared. You know, this was before my time. I was born in 1990, but
Right.
with the Cold War and the Russians, there was a lot of tension, and they were just on that space race. You know, they launched Sputnik in Russia, then we launched John Glenn. They're doing more. Every step that we did, they had to one up, and every step they did, we had to one up.
Yeah.
And just to see who was the better nation. And there was definitely severe competition in that. So they could fake it for that reason if they wanted to be like, hey, if they were cheaters like us, if the U.S. government was like, hey, we're going to cheat, let's fake it. Nobody could beat that. You know, in that aspect, sure, that would make sense to fake something like that. But I just don't see how that would be possible to fake something that huge. I really don't.
No, I
mean, look what we could do now. We can go. We just last week dropped that rover on Mars.
Mars, exactly.
The first time in history.
Exactly.
This is the first time in history we have gotten video from a spacecraft landing on another world. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know.
And know what the craziest thing is? That you can like go on the internet and check it out.
I know,
like,
dude.
Anybody.
I thought the same thing last week. I was watching. It wasn't from this rover. It was from the previous one. I forget the name of it, but I think it was Endeavour. Maybe, I don't know. But they had 4K video. It was really cool how NASA did it. They took still images and they stitched it together with pixels, and there was information during the video like this specific panorama image was consisted of like 5 billion pixels, and they stitched it all together and made it in 4K, and it's like watching a movie on Mars from the rover itself. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But that's what I mean. Like, and even if it was faked then, even if it was, let's just, for shits and giggles, let's just say that it was faked then. Why does it matter now? It doesn't matter now. I mean, obviously we're going to Mars now, so it doesn't matter even if it was. But again, I just don't see the sense in going through all that work.
I don't see the sense in that either. And you know what you just said, why now? The truth will come out eventually. I mean, there's a lot of things in military and governments that are declassified after so many years. It's decades, you know. Basically, the next generation, they'll unclassify some shit. Well, that brings up another point, too. In this COVID relief bill in the United States, back in January, when they gave us that second little stimulus check, in that COVID relief bill, they ordered the Pentagon and the CIA and just the U.S. government in general. And you got to remember, this is in the COVID relief bill, which is a weird place to put this.
Slide something in the side.
Yeah, to slide something in there like this, and it was huge news at the time. But the report in that COVID relief bill was that the U.S. government has to declassify all UFO-related phenomena, and anything declassified about it. And they released a 1 million-page article about it about a month and a half later. And the deadline, it's a 6-month deadline, 180 days. They have until June. So I feel like by June, we're going to be told some pretty heavy shit. The New York Times, about 4 months ago, got a hold of an article from the Pentagon stating that they do have vehicles not of this world. Look at Navy pilots. David Fravor, who was on the Joe Rogan podcast. Very credible sources. The Tic Tac UFO. Very credible. It's on radar. You know, radar's picking it up. It's actively jamming their tracking system on the object. It's doing things that it should not be doing if it wasn't some kind of controlled object. And there's nothing we have in our lifetime or the history of humanity that we can't do what that object did. You know, the speed that it sped off at, everything for it. No, even the physics. If you put a human in anything and was going, I mean, dude,
as fast as it went.
yeah, let's say even fucking 20 miles a second, and then did
You're
a
gonna be
sharp right
goo.
turn.
You're gonna be
Yeah,
goo.
you're gonna get thrown through the wall into
You're-
nothingness.
You're gonna be goo, right? Like there's nothing.
Yeah,
Like that's the
nothing
thing,
at
though.
all.
We don't actually know though if there was anything piloting it, because if you remember, the whole thing that how it started was the disturbance in the water,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
They seen the disturbance in the water, and that's what they went to check out. And when they went to check that out, it submerged, and the Tic Tac showed up, right?
Yep. And there is reports of what is it called? USOs, unidentified submergible objects.
Yes.
And honestly, that makes sense if you look into like what Bob Lazar said he worked on at Area 51.
No,
back
can I
in the
correct
day.
you? It's section S7 or S4. Sorry, area S4. He was in.
Area
Yes.
S4.
Yes.
Yes.
Everyone says 51, and I get it because that's
It was
where
part
all
of it. All at Groom
exactly,
Lake, they
but-
had different installations.
Exactly.
But with what he was working on, if you can manipulate gravity, if you're able to put yourself in an object and manipulate gravity around you, it's basically a force field to shove things out of your way. So if you hit water, that water's getting put. Imagine that Bible story where Moses walked through the rivers or whatever, or the ocean, and went like that.
Yeah.
It would be like that. You'd hit the water, it would separate around you. You can go through solid objects, it would separate around you. Maybe not solid objects, but yeah, that wouldn't make any sense. But
No,
you
but
get what
you'd
I'm
be able
saying.
to push any fluid,
would-
right?
Yeah, you can go through fluid. Resistance of air, it's not gonna. I mean, you take a jet and go through the speed of sound, that's a lot of force being taken on that aircraft. A lot.
Yeah.
And that's nothing compared to what these things can do that people see. What got me so interested in aliens? When I was 14, I seen 2 UFOs. I've never seen anything like it since. I don't know what I saw. It was very strange. I've always been interested in space,
It's hard not
but
to be. I mean,
it was pretty freaky, man. What
you
I
look
see.
up there and you just wonder.
I mean, there's so much out there.
Exactly.
And if you can manipulate gravity like that, there's no way you can't just shoot solar system to solar system with ease. You know what I mean?
You would think. I mean, again, I'm not like a scientist by any means, but I mean, yeah. Once you have a control over gravity, that changes the whole ball game altogether, right?
Yep.
I mean, now if you can, again, like you said, if you can put a bubble of gravity around you where everything inside is not affected by gravity outside.
Exactly.
It's like the possibilities are really kind of endless, right?
Yep.
I don't know. Like I can't even imagine how that would work. Like the technology, obviously, we haven't figured it out.
No, even the
You know
top
what I
leading
mean?
scientists in the world, it's boggling their minds still. Maybe in the not so near future, we will have that kind of technology, but that is, if anybody's going to do it, I have faith in Elon Musk, though, to figure some shit out like that.
Oh, Elon, I love that man. I am so glad he was born, not just because he makes kick-ass cars, but I mean, I truly
He
think,
cares.
Well,
he cares about the future of humanity.
Exactly, and I truly think that, like, he's right. For us to survive, we cannot stay on this planet. Long term, we cannot just be on Earth. We need to go out across the galaxy. We have to do it. That's the only way humanity or the human race will survive. Now, whether or not we'll be what we are today, then that's a different story. I don't know about that. I mean, there's so much stuff happening right now in the world, like at this moment, when you look at CRISPR, right? Some crazy stuff going on. And you know what the worst part is I haven't heard anyone talking about it in almost a year.
What was it? What'd you say? CRISPR?
Yeah. You don't
I've
know
never
about
even heard
CRISPR?
of No.
Oh,
I've never heard of CRISPR.
dude. Okay, so
Never heard of that.
CRISPR is basically a technology that allows us to change DNA to a level that has never been done before. They really, again, because it hasn't been talked about in about a year, I really haven't been looking into it. Maybe I should start doing some more research and see where they're at. But they, do you remember? You don't. A year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, it was before COVID hit. China had used it to make twins.
I think I did hear something about that.
And they genetically altered them so that they cannot get HIV. right?
That's interesting.
Yeah, and supposedly they were saying some of the side effects of these children was that they were having extremely high, or looked like they were going to have an extremely high IQ. Right, but basically, in a nutshell, again, I'm not a scientist, okay? But basically, in a nutshell, CRISPR allows you to. So if you look at a strand of DNA, there's empty spots in it, and
Yes,
CRISPR allows you to fill in those spots with pretty much anything you want.
Is that designer baby stuff that was in the news a couple years ago?
That's part of it. Yes,
part of it,
because it could be used for that also.
Like if you want your daughter to have blue eyes, genetically
CRISPR
modified.
would be the way to do it. Exactly. But it can be used for so many other things too, not just that. Like it can be used in diseases and cures of diseases too, because things that have a DNA in it, you can manipulate that DNA using CRISPR. Right? And there's a couple levels of CRISPR. There's like A and B. There's a lot more to it. But in a nutshell, I truly think CRISPR is going to be one of the things in the future that's going to allow us to live extremely long lives. Right? Because from my understanding is when a person hits a certain age, and it's different for everybody, basically we just stop making good cells. We stop replenishing them. It's just less and less and less and less and less. And this is why we get older, right? So theoretically, with CRISPR, if we can pinpoint what that is, that switch that gets turned on and stops making cells, new fresh cells in our body to keep us young, if CRISPR, we can figure that out. We can go in with CRISPR and we can get rid of it altogether.
That's crazy. And I need to look into that because you know a lot more about that than I do, but all I've heard about that is the designer babies, how you can genetically modify certain aspects of their genes and their makeup, their DNA makeup, you know. And if you could do that, if you can manipulate DNA to benefit in the favor of humanity, that's mind-blowing. That's mind-blowing. I
definitely think, even if you could, just imagine extending human life from the average of, we're almost 100-year average
just
now.
Double it. Just
right?
double it.
Or triple. 300 years. Could you imagine what you could do?
No.
In
what was
300
years ago?
Well, I think of it this way. Okay, I look at myself when I'm 43 years old, right? So I look at myself. Okay, I go back when I was 20. I was a dick. Okay, I was a prick. I was ignorant. I was fucking full of myself. You know, I thought I was fucking invincible. Yada yada yada. The list goes on and on and on. Okay, 23 years later, all right, I don't think I'm as much of a dick. I think I'm more civil. I think more. I'm more critical about things. I look at life differently, right? That's a 20 years.
Right.
How my mind changed. I know that I should be a positive person. I work to becoming the better me, right? Always, every day. It's a daily thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what if you had, 150 years of being able to mature like that? And on top of it, physically, you're still in that 30-year range. How much better could humanity become if we had more time to learn, more time to become better at things?
And you got to imagine, too, just if you had the technology to do that, to make yourself, live that long, you would have to assume that they would also enhance your brain capacity. Right now, we only use 10 or 12% of our brain, certain parts are locked. You can't use the full capacity of it. Imagine everything you just said with more brain power living that long.
Exactly.
And what could we accomplish?
Well, I think you would get more brain power anyways from living that long. You're absorbing more information. You're becoming wiser. You're learning how to break down the information better and all that, right? But then you add that to fucking Neuralink.
Yeah, I was just thinking that right when you were talking, explaining the whole thing. If Neuralink got a hold of that, and that would be insane.
Right? But now, think of it. Now, how easy is it for us to start traveling through the galaxy on generational ships? We live 300-400 years. We have access to instant information as beings, right, through a Neuralink type of system. And you got to think this will be generations from now, 50, 100 years from now. humanity might not be the same, but we will be able to exist throughout the galaxy.
Oh yeah, 100%. That would be, I would love to be alive in that time. That would be.
Ideally, with Neuralink, you could get an injection. Now I could get an injection now, and over a period of time, I would regress in age, or at least physically regress in age, and then my life would extend from that point on. So ideally, if CRISPR could come up and figure out what steps need to be taken to extend life and get rid of small, because that's another big thing they're working on is eliminating diseases. That's why they did the stuff with HIV in China. Right, which they weren't supposed to do, and that's why I was kind of surprised because it was like they weren't allowed to use it, and they went and did it anyways. But that's China for you. We won't get into that.
Sure
you know China. But yeah, so I mean, now you don't have disease anymore. You have extended life, right? You have instant information. What are the possibilities are amazing. So at that point, then why can't if we seen other civilizations similar to us at where we're at now, would we not be doing the same things that we're seeing happening to us?
Exactly.
Right?
That's why everybody says if aliens were visiting Earth, why would they have interest in us now? We're nothing compared to them. If they are able to do that, be interplanetary and intergalaxy, traveling like that.
Yeah, but it might be a look into their past.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
People have said that aliens are looking to our future too.
Exactly.
Look, it's really mind blowing when you think about it. It's pretty deep, but when it comes to aliens, I've heard theories that they're time travelers from the future. And if you are able, time is not constant. If you travel the speed of light from here to, let's just say, the end of our solar system, past Venus or whatever,
right?
Time that it took for you to get there would be minutes. Time that it took for life on Earth to age would be thousands of years.
Exactly.
Time is not constant when it comes to that that speed. There's an equation there where if you're traveling so fast that time ages different than you do.
Yeah, exactly.
And
we see
people
things,
talk about
we see things linear because that's the way our brain can work it out properly, right?
Yep. People say that the people that have supposedly seen alien beings, like the gray aliens, they have no reproductive organs, at all. They're just thin childlike creatures with just basic necessities. They don't even speak. They speak telepathically. Neuralink would be able to let us do that, speak telepathically.
At some point, for sure.
And if you progress far enough in the future, that could, who's to say humans wouldn't look like that in 1,000 years from now? Look, if you believe in evolution, even look at how the human body has evolved over time from what they say it was thousands of years ago. Well, if evolution's true, human body's going to keep keep evolving and do. It's like we're used to the sun. We get sunburned, when we go out in the sun, and eventually you can evolve from that to where your skin protects you enough to where you don't get sunburned. Just certain things that change the environment that you live in can change your DNA over a course of a period of time too.
Well, and the thing is now we're getting to that point where we don't have to necessarily wait for evolution anymore. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
We can start taking that into our own hands. But my wonder is like, which I think it's really going to be a combination of the biological and the mechanical. I don't think it's going to be one or the other. I think we're going to, and who the fuck knows? This is just my thoughts, right? But,
well, the thing is, there is technology doing that, so it could happen. When you just said biological with mechanical, that's the literal definition of a cyborg, a biological being with some AI technology built into one, combining it.
Exactly.
And like you said with CRISPR, if they are able to alter DNA to benefit diseases, Neuralink is doing the same thing for chronic diseases as well. Parkinson's disease.
Yep.
They're trying to go in there with that chip implanted in the brain, which they already have done successfully on animals.
Yeah, well, 3 pigs, and they took one out.
Yeah, yep. They had a couple demos already. Elon Musk unveiled a demo project with Neuralink, and it's actually happening.
Yeah,
it is
happening.
And if they can get rid of certain things where you can just turn the switch off, imagine somebody who has severe Parkinson's, who shakes all the time. He can't even live the day-to-day life. He gets an implant. The next day, he is sitting as still as you and me. Everything's fine.
Yeah,
you know, that's crazy.
That, and I mean that is what's amazing about it is that it's going from like CRISPR would attempt to do the same thing from a genetic level, but Elon's taken it from a level of technology where it's like, okay, we'll just control the brain using the Neuralink instead of
they're going to alter the neurons firing in your brain. They're going to alter that. You know, imagine those two companies or those two technologies merging together. That would be. I wouldn't even know what to think.
I always say, like, I live my life on the basis of that. I'm halfway through, right? I'm 43 years old. I've done 43 years. If you go by the averages of lifespans right now, might have another 43 years ahead of me. But I also, in the back of my head, always have this mindset that, like, over the next 30 years, something could happen to extend our lives drastically, and that excites the fucking shit out of me, right? That
would you want to live that long?
Oh, yes. Oh,
you would?
Oh, crap. Yes, I would. Most definitely. I would love to live. I mean, it's easy to say that now because I know at some point in time I'm gonna die, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I would love to know. Okay, I've got another 300 years. I could literally master a bunch of things over those. You know what I mean? Like, I could totally change the way I look at life. Humanity could totally change the way it looks at life, right? And now we could, because we live so long, we could like. I always like the mindset of the samurai. All right, a lot of people think samurai is just about fighting, and obviously they're generally people that really haven't looked into it, right? But the samurai whatever they focused on, that was it. That was their focus until mastery of it. Even if it took their lifetime, and generally most of the time it did, right? Could you imagine a culture nowadays with the ability to do that, to master something? And then you add technology on top of that, right? So again, I'll bring in Neuralink because it's so sweet. I so cannot wait till that really starts becoming something.
It's becoming more mainstream as the months go on.
Oh yeah, big time. And so now mastery can become something that you can enhance in a very quick point in time. So I mean, it just excites me to think what we could become as people.
That's a super interesting point.
The biggest problem is that there's so many people on this planet that are dicks.
Yep. And I was going to say, when you answered that question about how would you want to live that long, your answer is a positive question. There's negative people out here who would literally say, no, you know how much horrible shit you'll see during that time, and you know, people around you are still going to die or whatever. They just don't want to live that long because of the shit they're going to see. They don't think about living that long to benefit themselves and what could be, you know, for the future of yourself or humanity and things like that, you know. So it takes a positive person to want to live that long in the first place, to have a optimistic outlook.
Yeah, I find in my life personally, the thing that limits us is time. That's what we're limited by, right? We live in the rat race, and we were fighting and clawing to try to make a living, to have a family, to keep a home, all that stuff, right? And we're doing it really because we have such a short time frame to do it in.
Yep. That's why there's that one phrase everybody says, there's not enough time in the day, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Because we're all, but now if that gets extended out longer, you know, maybe now you can slow down. Maybe now you can focus on one thing for a longer period of time. You know what I mean?
Imagine if Einstein was still alive. Imagine that. If Einstein was still alive and we were able to live double the time, the life expectancy that we have now.
Oh yeah.
What could he accomplish?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, imagine Elon Musk living for the next 300-400 years. Like, how many amazing advancements, you know, would he bring?
He really
Right?
is the next Nikola Tesla. I mean, there's a reason why he named his car company Tesla, and that is the reason why. You know, Nikola Tesla was making that. People called it a death ray, whatever. You know, he had plans. I mean, people did.
I
It's a
know.
huge conspiracy on what he was really working. A mad scientist, you know. Um, but he was working with all electricity. You know, all his inventions were electricity, and he actually was working with Thomas Edison to create the light bulb. And supposedly Nikola Tesla was the one who really had the plans, and Edison stole them from him and
Yes, I
banished him
know.
because he was that weird mad scientist dude. You know, when you look at Elon Musk, he's definitely a mad scientist. He's a nerdy, goofy, loves
The
joking
dude
about
made a
memes
flamethrower.
and- yeah, exactly. He made a flamethrower just because it's cool, and and that was a fundraiser event, that those flamethrowers to
Yeah, he only
build that
made so
the
many.
boring company.
Yeah.
Yep, only made so many, and they
Mm.
sold out within like 2 days.
Yeah,
They
something
were like
crazy.
500
Yeah.
bucks a piece. Yeah, that's awesome, man. He's the real life Tony Stark.
Oh, I'm just waiting for him to come out with a friggin' biosuit for the first mission to Mars or something, and you watch. It'll
I
be
know.
some kind of
Yep.
Iron Man crazy shit. Oh,
You
yeah.
know, I believe that we will land on Mars soon. You know, humans for the first time. It only takes 6 months to travel there.
I think it's going to happen within our lifetime, most definitely. Elon Musk, he's talking like less than 10 years.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
in his mind.
He wants to terraform it. He was
Right?
talking about that if you drop nuclear bombs on
Yep.
the poles of Mars, it'll kickstart the gases outputted by the bombs would do. He knows. Look, I'm not no Elon Musk, but
right?
the shit that he says will happen from all the gases and the radiation being let out, it'll kickstart the planet somehow, jolt it a little bit, terraform it, keep doing that over and over again. I don't know what he's planning on doing, but I could totally see us landing on. Imagine us watching on TV the Mars landing when our parents and grandparents watched the moon landing.
Oh, I know, right? Wouldn't that be something just mind blowing?
Yeah, and that was a moon. This is a planet.
Yeah,
you know,
right? And it's like the people that are going there to build that's the new front. That would be the new frontier. That would be the wild fucking west of space. You know what I mean? Now, my thing is like, would I go? No.
Fuck no.
Not unless our age could get extended.
Mm-hmm.
I'm too old. Like, I would be useless. Like, by the time it'd be feasible for me to go, I would be so old. I don't think it'd be worth it anymore. Right?
I think people wouldn't want to go unless they were forced to, because Earth is on its last days. You know, some crazy shit happens, and if it's feasible and easy to do it at that point in the future, where it's like taking booking a flight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People would leave then, because by that time there'd be enough cities and a civilization built on Mars to sustain itself. But that's the only way I see people really want to go. There's some crazy people out there who will go just to go. Don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah. Big time. I mean,
So
I think
it'll be interesting.
Elon's
to
kind of banking on that fact for the first group of people, the crazy motherfuckers. But I mean, like, it's gonna be just.
He himself even said that he wants to die on Mars. He doesn't want to die on Mars.
Yeah, exactly. He plans on being there and living his life, building a community, not a community, like a friggin' civilization there, right?
Yep.
So I mean, I think whether or not our age extends, I really, really hope it does. That's the only way that we're going to be able to keep going, because we fucked this planet. I'm not saying that there's no way that we're going to get back from where we are on this planet, but we've screwed it. And even the stuff we're doing now, it's not enough. It's not enough. Now, I'm not saying that in the future there might not be technology that'll help things, make things better or whatever, but at this point in time, we're running out of oil. We're fucking up the atmosphere, right? We fucking leave shit all over the fucking place. We kill our fucking oceans. We over fucking fish, right? We destroy ecosystems, okay? And it's not stopping. And the thing is like, even if we North America, Europe, when we stop doing that and get our shit in check, there's still the rest of the world. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't necessarily even have the technology to be able to take care of it.
There's two things that you just mentioned about all the garbage that we litter and pollute and the oceans and all that. For the first time, I think it was last year, for the first time in history, they found trash and plastic at the bottom or inside of the Marianas Trench, which is the deepest point in the Earth's crust in the ocean. We were able to put trash down there. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? That's too much. That's too much. We're ruining, like you said, the ecosystem. And another thing too, I just watched this the other day. Neil deGrasse Tyson,
love
the
him.
planetarium guy. Yeah, I love him too. He made a good point too. He was asked about Elon Musk's plans to terraform Mars. He said, if you could clean up another planet and rejuvenate that planet into Earth, then we would have the technology to turn Earth back into Earth, and hopefully we could do that, just reverse what we've done to it here in the future sometime, because you're right, man, it's getting ruined.
Ideally, the problem is that everyone on Earth isn't on the same fucking level. You know what I mean?
Not at all.
And that's the big challenge, is that and I think a lot of people tend to forget it through the minutia of day-to-day life. That I get up in the morning, I take my whiz, I make my coffee, I smoke a joint, I bake the breakfast for the kids, all that stuff. Every day I do it, and it's hard not to think that everyone else just does the same thing, but it's not true. For
it's so weird.
A lot of people on the planet, it's not true. And I'm not talking like a couple, I'm talking billions of people on this planet do not live an existence like that.
No, not with anything. That's crazy. That humanity, we can't, there's nothing that we can all as a whole, the entire humanity, agree on. There's always differences, whether it's racism, sexism, you hate somebody just because they're from another country. There's nothing that we are equal on. I can't think of one thing. Not polluting the earth, making earth where you live at, your home, clean for you. Nobody's on the same page with any issue, it seems like, in the whole broad spectrum of humanity.
Yeah, I know. And it's like greed is like it's weird, right? Because like if I talk to you and I say, okay, this is stupid, I don't get why this stuff happens, you want better, I want better, I go talk to Joe Schmo over there and it's the same thing. He wants better, I want better. Everybody wants better, but nothing gets better. And it's not necessarily because that of us, but it's because other parts of the world can't function like us, right? Mm-hmm. There's parts of the world that have dictators that don't give a shit about anything but money and slaughter thousands of people, right? Look at like China. Look what China does, right? I mean, their people are oppressed. I mean, how come no one's been talking about Hong Kong lately? Like,
the protests.
Do we forget that like fucking China just walked in and literally took away all of their freedoms in a matter of 6 months? Hello, that no one has a problem with that. Like, these are the issues.
That was huge news, but nobody pays attention. Nobody cares.
I know. I don't understand. I mean, I get what's going on. I understand when you're under oppression and you could get killed for saying certain things. It's hard, but there's lots of people outside of the situation, countries, people, so on and so forth, that do know, and it's like it just disappeared. It just washed away, and now it's done. It's done. That's just the way it is there. Like,
that's crazy. You could let that happen. Imagine if that happened here. They take our freedoms away,
dude. I don't know what's going on in the States, bro. I'm not an American, so I only thing I get is what I consume from news sources, and internet and what have you. I don't live in it, so I'm literally looking from the outside in. But like, I thought things would start to become more stable after this election went by, and it doesn't seem to be that way.
No, it's not. I mean, it doesn't affect me yet in my day-to-day life, but I'm afraid that it will. Like, it'll get to a point where it affects me, like they're taking certain things away. I don't know what's going to happen either. I don't know. I really don't.
I was just seeing yesterday, they were talking about different states changing voting rules and regulations, I guess, or what have you.
Yep.
And they're making it harder to vote for people.
Yep.
Making it harder for people to vote. It's like, why would you do that? Like, I don't understand the mindset of what's going on. Like,
yeah, you want the public. I mean, that's the start, in my opinion, of the fall of democracy. If you're going to make it harder to vote for somebody, then why are you doing that? Aren't we supposed to pick our leaders? And I never understand why we can only pick from two. Why is there only two? And they're both fucking. I mean, every election there's always that they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They're retarded. Look at Donald Trump and Joe Biden, for example. People hated. Look, Trump. People either loved him or they hated him.
Yep.
And then when it came to Biden, it didn't even matter if you liked or hated Trump. You watch Joe Biden speak, and he fucks up everything he says. I remember a month ago, he was talking about the resurrection at the Capitol. He literally was being interviewed about it, and he misspoke, and he said erection instead of resurrection. Or the surrection, whatever it was. He said erection.
Oops.
He's introduced his wife as Joe wife's wife, just everything he says he fucks up, and you got to pick between two people, one who doesn't even know. If he can't talk, how the fuck do you expect him to run the country? And the second guy, who was a reality TV star turned politician all of a sudden, I mean, he bought his way into it 100%. I mean, he didn't even need to be like, I don't care for him. I don't like him, but I don't hate him either. But he didn't have to do that job. Trump did not have to be president. What was he going to gain out of it? He could have retired out of everything he did his whole life and played golf the rest of his years on this earth, and had the money to never
think it was
worry.
Shits and giggles. He just did it just to fucking be a dick. Really,
he might have
greed.
Yeah, he's definitely greedy and arrogant, 100%.
Like, I think that was the total driving force between. I think it's pretty much everything he does is all based off of fucking ego and greed.
His image.
Exactly. Like, I have all the power. I have all the money. I can do whatever the hell I want. No one can stop me. I could even be fucking president if I want. Watch this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Becomes president. See, I fucking told you I could be president. And I think that's why at the end of the presidency, when he wasn't voted in, he thought he could just keep his fucking I can do whatever I want up.
Make those calls to
I did win. Exactly,
yep.
Right? And it's like, the fact that he got in, I get that. I understand that. People were just sick of the same old, and they wanted something different, and they didn't really even care what different, as long as it was different, right?
And I'll be the first to say, when the first time, well, the only time he was elected, when he ran for president, in the beginning it sounded good. A businessman trying to run the country as a business, different, it's not politicians. Like, this guy's coming in to, he don't take no shit. He does what he says he's going to do. I remember in an interview before he was president, he was asked, this was when ISIS was going on, huge,
Right.
And everybody was scared of ISIS. He was asked, what would you do about ISIS? He said, I'd bomb the shit out of them. That was his exact quote.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I feel that. Like, fuck yeah, And he became president, and like a month into his term, he dropped the MOAB, the mother of all bombs, the largest non-nuclear weapon on him, and fucking wiped out a shit ton of them.
Yep.
And everybody, people, there's always people against war, but the people that, aren't, they're like, hell yeah, that's what we need. But then it just went downhill. Completely went downhill.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't want war, of course. Like, who wants it?
Who wants war?
But on the same note, like, you can't let bullies bully fucking everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't let, and then that's where a lot of war breaks out from. You can't just let people do whatever the fuck they want on the planet.
You got to protect your land and your home,
right?
know?
Exactly. But it's so weird, right? Because we're all the same. Like, I think we all in the core want the same stuff. We want a good life. We want to be healthy. We want our family to live. Like, and I think that's across every nation, across, every gender. We all want these key core things. But depending on how hard life is for where you are, it becomes a survival thing instead of a living thing. Does that make sense? You know what I'm trying?
Yeah.
What I'm saying?
Yeah,
right?
It does.
And it's hard to get out of a survival mindset, especially if you're brought up in it, right? If you're brought up in a part of the world where every day you're fighting to get food, every day when you go out, there's a chance you're going to get killed. And that doesn't necessarily even mean out of North America. There's some bad places in North America that stuff can happen too, man. Right? Yep. So it's not just that there. But it's hard when you're brought up your whole life thinking that, to teach your children not to think that way.
Right? I mean, you look at those pictures of 12-year-olds running around with AK-47s,
Right?
That's a normal thing there.
Well, and the thing is some of those kids, they didn't have a choice. They went into that town, they took them away from their family, and they put the gun into the hand, and they basically said, listen, you're going to fight with us, or you're going to die from us. Those are your options. And as a freaking child, as a 10-year-old boy or girl, well, usually it's the boys. They don't look very happy along the girls, at least context we're talking right now. Yeah, like what kind of, like, I have 9-year-olds. I could never imagine having to put them into that situation and expect them to be able to mentally handle it in any kind of a way, right? Like, it's rough out there, and I think until we can figure out a way to even the playing field for everyone, I don't even know if that's possible. And by even the playing field, I mean everyone have, a base of living. Everyone has a base of, you're not going to die when you walk out in the streets tomorrow,
Right.
You have the ability to work and make money and feed your family. Until everybody can live on that level, I think we're just going to be doing the same stupid shit over and over and over again. And the thing is I don't know how. I don't know what the solution to that situation would be. Like, I don't even know how you could even everything out and put everyone on the planet on an even playing field,
I don't even think that's possible. I really don't. I try to be optimistic and, look on the bright side, but I just don't see that happening. Worldwide, everybody, is good. I don't see it. I just seen a article in the news just the other day that, and it happens all the time for some reason there in Nigeria.
I know.
The gunmen come in and kidnap 300 children out of schools,
Exactly.
Like, that happens all the time. Don't you think that some group or somebody there would put a stop to that eventually, Well, it just keeps happening.
Right? And this is
where... they can't. They're outnumbered, there's nothing they could do. Nothing they can do.
Right? And this is when, like, now we're talking as a country, like, not necessarily Canada, we're not that big. We're always out there helping. That's what we do. But do you step in as another country or a group of countries and try to stop that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. We tried with the Mexican cartel.
Right?
They were gonna get labeled a terrorist organization.
Yeah,
the cartel is insane.
I thought they did label the cartel. I thought they ended up doing that.
I don't think they did. I think they were talking about it and they came close to it. I don't know for sure, but I don't think they did.
There was something else. Was it Antifa? Canada.
Antifa, yeah. Antifa was going to get labeled, and I think they did get
someone. God, now it's going to. We labeled someone that you guys didn't terrorist, and that I forget who it was.
It could have been Antifa or the Proud Boys. That's
maybe
a weird
it was
name,
the Proud Boys. Maybe
Yeah,
it
that's
was the
such a weird
Proud
name too.
Boys.
Every time I hear that name, I'm like, what kind of
Well,
fucking
that
name is
started
that?
something totally different than what it became. You know, that was
I don't even know really what it is. I hear the name and I write it off as a joke. I'm like, what the fuck is this
well,
trash?
beyond
Proud
now.
Boy.
Now it doesn't matter. Now it's just ridiculousness, right? But I mean, even with that stuff it's weird, right? Because like we don't see that stuff as much here in Canada because we're not as there's not as many of us, right? Like,
well, you guys are all friendly up there. Literally, you
there's
guys
just as many assholes here as there is anybody else, I think.
Oh, I'm sure, but no, you guys mind your business. Okay, look, you said the only thing you see from the United States is in news. The only thing we see from Canada in news is nothing because you guys mind your own fucking business. You do. I mean, I know that the only news that I heard from Canada in the past year and a half, 2 years, is that you guys fully, as a country, legalize marijuana, which is awesome. But when it comes to bad shit, you know, like here in America, mass shootings, school shootings, all that, I don't think, as far as I know, I've never heard a story about that from Canada at all.
It doesn't happen very often. Like the last real big thing I can remember happening, other than just like, you know, COVID and stuff involved with that, was crap. I cannot think. There was a Quebec company, and I guess there was some shady dealings that went on, some buyouts to countries to get work done. You know what I mean? And there was a lot of Canadians upset about it. And I was like, here's the thing.
You're telling me the biggest thing that's happened in your country is some business dealings, cutting corners type thing?
Kind of.
That's what I mean.
Kind of, yeah. And like they
every
were upset,
day,
and
the new biggest thing happens here.
Well, my thing about it was that like that's kind of the way the world works. Like, I don't think people understand that, like, as a country, as a government, sometimes you've got to like grease the wheels with other countries to get them to
100%.
do what you want them to do. And that's just the way the global economy works sometimes. It's not always clear cut and over the books. And if you want to succeed in that global, you got to do that sometimes. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it gets done. We're not the only country that's done it. We're not going to be the last country that does it, and we'll probably do it again. But yeah, that's kind of it, man. That's at least that I remember.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me because
a lot of stuff.
I know you see in the news here every week. There's a shooting. I mean, dude, I live in Ohio, as you know, and there's nothing really, you know. There's major cities in Ohio, of course, but I don't live in a major city. It's a small town, about 30,000 people, and there is a city about 8 miles away, also about the same size, and it's been dubbed, you know, mini Chicago. Every day there's a shooting, and it's all mostly gang related, you know, stuff like that. But then it's also random acts of violence too. It happens all the time, just 10 miles away from me, let alone the big cities across the country. I remember it was in December. 2 gunmen walked around a house. They had a target in mind, you know, must have been gang dealings or money or drugs or something, but they see the toys outside in the yard, children's toys, shoot through the house at 2 a.m, hit 2 twin boys with bullets. They were 1 year old and one died. The other got hit and survived. But just shooting randomly into houses, you know, crazy shit happens here, way too much. And that's just small scale stuff that you don't see in your news, but I see it in mine because it's in the local papers.
Right.
You guys see the major events, and that happens all the time too. I don't know what the fuck is going on with America. Here's a quick little fun fact. One of the biggest at the time mass shootings happened in, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I believe it is San Ysidro, California.
I think it's something like that, San Ysidro, something like that. Yeah.
It was the McDonald's massacre. Okay. A gunman walked in with 2 handguns and a rifle, methodically shot everybody he's seen. Anybody who drove up to the drive-thru window without saying a word. Just went through and shot everybody. Children, babies, elderly, and anybody. Yep. Didn't say a word. Stone cold look on his face. That motherfucker that did that grew up in my hometown 2 miles down the road. His house is still there where he used to live at. He worked at a funeral home right down the road, and he lived his entire life here and then moved to California. 8 months after moving, he committed that mass murder. That could have happened here if he didn't move.
That's crazy.
His name
That's
was
really crazy.
um oh something Oliver. If you look up Oliver Hubert, you could read that story. He was from my town and went and did that. At the time, it was the largest mass shooting. James
That
Oliver Hubert,
that's
that's his name.
crazy. Now let me ask you this, because that's always a big debate in the States. If you think gun laws were different there, do you think that still would have happened?
I don't think changing gun laws would stop mass shootings from happening at all. They're trying to, people say they're trying to take the guns away. Now, if you change laws at a certain point to where you make the background checks, harder, certain things and aspects like that. Like recently they passed a red flag law here where if somebody has guns and that you deem them, and this is a weird thin line too, by putting the authority in the public, but they're trying to get people to help more to prevent these things from happening. But the red flag law is where if you think somebody's mentally unstable and shouldn't have a weapon, you could phone that into the police and they'll come out and do a check. And if they deem something suspicious, they'll take the guns away from them. That's kind of violating your Second Amendment right.
Have you noticed a lot lately the government seems to be wanting to put put people in situations to rat each other out, to turn neighbor against neighbor?
That happened here with COVID, and it still is, until we just got lifted from curfew, but we're still under a mask mandate and all that. But during the holiday season, Thanksgiving and Christmas, it was that, dude. Like, they said that this is just our local towns. Like, the town council meetings brought this plan together. And it was that during Thanksgiving and Christmas, if you report seeing 3 or more cars in a driveway, call the police. And we're like, what the fuck? Like, I swear to God, if a neighbor would call the police on me for having my fucking family over, what I do with my life is my business, and you're not the police. The police even said, we're not going to enforce that. That's ridiculous. Like, what are you doing? Well, they try to limit how many people you could have in your house. And
I have 2 cars in my driveway now. If I had one person come over, that would be 3.
If you looked out your window at the neighbor's house and just thought, there's probably 6 or more people in that house, you could phone the police and they told you to do so.
That's crazy.
That's bullshit. And the fact that the government here tried telling you how many people you could have in your own house. You couldn't have anybody that wasn't a family in your house. And during the holidays, you had to wear a mask in your house. Everybody laughed at
mask in your house? That just defeats the purpose.
I know. And that's what I mean by a thin line, too, with that, is when you start letting the government tell you how to live your life in your own home, things are on a downhill slope there with taking certain things away and freedom and things like that, just like you said earlier. I don't know what's going on in America. They seem to be overstepping boundaries of taking certain things away, and that's one of them. It's a very thin line, and it makes sense when you want to try to help, defeat COVID and stuff. There's some people that are like sheep that will listen, but for people like me, I see that as a test from the government. I see that as being like, let's tell them to do this and see if they listen, and we're going to run that as a test. Next thing's going to be a little more. They're going to step a little more each time, telling you what to do, what to wear, how to live. And I think it might be for a reason. I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like something big is going to happen here soon.
I totally feel you on that. I find it's weird because, I mean, like, is it North Korea that they actually, like, have, like, in your business, you, like, get up and you, like, once a week or whatever, and you say all the things you did wrong. I did this wrong. I treated this person like that. All this stuff wrong. And then when you're done that, you say all your peers what they did wrong. You rat them out. And then they get up and do the same thing. Right? And it's so that, like, you fall in line. You don't do shit wrong because if you do, Tom, Dick, or Sally's going to rat your ass out.
Yep.
And that's the way the government set it up. And
nobody's going to let that fly.
When I started hearing stuff going on, like, I was like, that's fucking weird, man, that I don't know. And it's like, I also find, and it's not just in the States, I find this is everywhere, that people seem to have this attitude of that it'll pass. Don't worry, it'll pass. Just do what you got to do, and it'll pass. And the thing is, it ain't fucking passing.
Nope,
like,
it's not.
Things aren't changing.
That's what's really weird when you think about it. It was, I feel, I mean, I got into this conversation last night on my stream with Big Calhoun. He said that he believes it was man-made. And you could talk and argue about that all day long, but who's to say it wasn't? I don't know. I didn't work in the lab. I just am reading what the fucking government is telling me. And North Korea, you know, I'm not saying we're anything like them at all, but they have government-controlled internet. You're only allowed to see what they want you to see.
Yeah.
And who's to say it wasn't man-made? You know, I'm just being told, I'm reading what I'm being told, that it was came out of a lab on accident. But, dude, it just doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like, to make a vaccine even, you know, it takes longer than what it did to make a vaccine. And the vaccines are still pretty iffy.
Well, I mean, I don't think it takes longer as much as that usually the resources aren't there. And the fact that, like, there's definitely corners cut. There is some corners cut. The only way there had to have been. I mean, a nominal amount. I mean, they got to make it safe. I mean, I'm still not 100% sure the zombie apocalypse is not going to happen from this. I'm not sure yet. I'm giving it at least a year. There might be some zombies yet. I'm not sure. But
what if it was man-made? What would be the reason behind that?
It could have been an accident. Like, we have all over the place. There's a lot of major facilities all over the world that have all kinds of diseases, and that's exactly what they do on a day-to-day basis. They play with them, they manipulate them, they try to make up scenarios where, what if this happens? How could we react to that? So that happens all the time. I mean, accidents can happen. For me, it's moot how it happened or where it came from. The problem is how we handled it, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody handled it, right? And the thing is like, now countries know how to cripple North America.
Yes.
2 ways.
Yeah, we're not.
Okay,
we're not
one,
like that.
Exactly what just happened. Release a pandemic, everything's going to fucking fall apart. People are going to lose their minds. There's going to be no fucking toilet paper, okay? It's going to be fucking mad. And 2, all right, make it snow in Texas.
Yeah.
Right? That's how you screw it, right?
People lost their shit. They didn't know what to do.
They did a little bit of snow in Texas, man, and that was it. I was like, "Aw, look at them! Aren't they cute down there with their snow?" But they're just not prepared. They weren't prepared.
No, not at all.
They're not, they're not prepared for it. But yeah, and it's like, so now any major power that has, and like, don't think for a second that all major companies, all major countries, don't believe for a second that they're not working in the background on viruses to either take out or have a way to cure. Like, of course they are. Why wouldn't they be? That would be stupid not to.
I'm not saying it's man-made, but it's also weird. You know, Bill Gates is huge into vaccines now. The founder of Microsoft, tech guy, turned to vaccines and all this. You know, there are people out, like major figures in business and the way the world works, that are for population control. But what I find weird is that Bill Gates led a roundtable talk in New York City, not even a year before the pandemic hit, simulating a pandemic event, simulating a lungs-based respiratory illness pandemic, to see the numbers, to see the estimated amount of casualties and diseases, how it would spread. And they held that simulation in New York City, not even a year before the pandemic even hit China.
That's wild.
And that is weird when you think about it. Like,
that's wild.
I'm not saying it's man-made, but why the fuck are you doing that? Why are you getting resources together to hold a simulation event for your vaccine company?
I'm not sure where it's like a TV series, I believe. I don't know. It's not. I don't think it's Chinese, but I'm not sure. It might be. I'm not sure, but it's on Netflix. And in the series, there's a whole thing about,
I've seen that.
Yeah, COVID, and it's a respiratory, and they called it COVID, and that's kind of fucking a little weird.
I tried finding that episode when I seen it as went viral. You know, the clip of it.
Yeah,
And I couldn't. They took it off Netflix.
I know
And
they did.
it was one of those weird. It was like those old Godzilla movies where the mouth is moving, but the audio is a little different. There's English subtitles for what they're saying.
Yeah,
And it was a Chinese show, and it said, and it was the way it was worded too was like so scary too. It put fear into you the way they said it.
It was
It
kind
said,
of exactly the way it was now.
Yeah,
The numbers were like what they thought the numbers were going to be originally at the beginning of the virus.
I remember in that clip in that episode when they were talking, I remember the subtitles were something like, "You're telling me that it was released," and they were like, "That's it's called the coronavirus, a lung respiratory illness disease. It'll kill millions. It'll be, end of life." Like the way they worded it was so scary, and it was before the pandemic even happened. And then, like you said, exactly the way they worded it. I'm sure you can still find the clip on YouTube if you type in Netflix Chinese coronavirus show.
More than
like
likely.
you can probably type that in and find the clip. And yeah, bro, it went down exactly the way they said it did in that clip in that episode before the pandemic even happened.
Yeah, I know. It totally blew me away. I was just like, "What?"
It was pretty freaky when I seen it.
Then the next thing is just like, okay, how many things can you come up with, as a creative person, or as millions and millions of creative people? Crap, I'm like, millions and millions of creative people. At what point are the odds very high that the stuff you're creating is going to be there's going to be a parallel with what's going on either in the immediate future or the not too distant future, right?
Look at the Simpsons. They predict everything.
I was just going to bring that up afterwards. Exactly.
Everything.
Like, what is that about? I mean,
dude, that's weird. I mean, I can't even argue that something weird is going on there because they've been too right. I remember when President Trump became president, he was coming down that elevator.
Yeah, man.
And they had the guy holding the big Trump like poster, the kind of like a flag I had.
Yep.
It was like this big holding Trump, and he was going down with Melania, and the people on the banister were lined up. The Simpsons episode decades ago,
almost
the exact same environment, setup, elevator, Trump, people on the banister. And when I seen that one, I'm like, no, dude, you can't even justify it anymore. Let alone with the Kobe death and everything else that they've
called
done.
a lot of things. And it's like, at what point in time do you question, like, is it just, if you create enough crazy shit, that crazy shit's just going to happen eventually?
Like, you're going to get a prediction right somehow,
Or is it like, is there something else there, man? Like, because that is a weird ass thing, the whole Simpsons and how much stuff they have gotten right over the years. But on the same note, look at how long the Simpsons have been going for.
Oh, they're one of the longest shows on network here in the States.
Right?
Probably one of the longest.
So,
did you see the Capitol prediction that they had? The episode where the guy that was dressed in the Viking hat had that tattoo.
I thought that was bunked. I thought that was debunked. That was.
I didn't hear anything about that.
That was edited. Yeah, I seen it at first. I was like, that's crazy. And then, because like Willie was looking like that. And I heard afterwards, no, the original clip didn't quite look like that, and that someone had altered it. And that one was bunk.
And people can alter stuff so easily these days. Sometimes you don't know, but if you can go back in the archives and see that past episodes, there have been so many that have been accurate and true.
Ridiculous.
But like those deepfake videos, I'm sure you've probably seen the deepfakes on Tom Cruise and Joe Rogan, where AI technology, people can use AI to make you say things that you never even said on camera.
Well, now, like, they have the technology to, like, skin someone else's face over your face, right? With that deep fake tech. So I mean, like, every movement you make, every voice, it all just. So I mean, to me, that's as interesting as it is kind of terrifying.
It is terrifying because what if you do deep fakes on politicians and what I'm being told never was really said?
Yeah. Oh, exactly. And it's terrifying, but it's also cool because now, like, you can have a movie with an actor in it that's dead.
Oh, bro, I never thought about that.
Right?
Holy shit.
Right?
That's crazy.
Like, how amazing is
that? Kind
that?
of just that left me speechless there for a minute. Like, yeah, I never thought of that. That would
Right?
be
So I mean,
pretty crazy.
as scary as it, because it could be used for some like terrible shit. It could be used for some really really terrible shit. But on the same note, you could do some amazing movie redos with nowadays technology, or you could do a sequel to something. You know, that to me, I thought was very like that's where like I try always to try to find some positive in anything I look at. I try. It's not always possible, but I do.
And
try.
even with movies, you can do the same with music videos. Not live shows, of course. They have holograms for that, but release a new music video under a dead artist, brand new video, new song. They just deep fake the music and something that maybe he would sing and make his voice sing it. They write a song for him, and
or even
videos come out.
Even if it's stuff that never got produced.
Yeah, backlog stuff. Exactly.
Backlog stuff that never got produced, and now you can make a video and you can have someone standing in as the body, and then AI does all the rest. Like I think there's a lot of cool to the technology too.
Yeah, but with everything cool, people use cool shit for bad things. It happens so much.
Exactly.
All the time.
Exactly. I mean, I just wonder, like, going back to CRISPR, like, that's the same thing. Like, I've talked about all the positives I see, but there could be a crazy amount of negatives. Like,
oh yeah, with that kind of technology, people are going to take advantage of it to do some sinister shit.
Especially when you're dealing with a country like China, who really doesn't care about life.
The craziest thing I've always thought about China is the fact that I don't know if they still have that law. I think I seen something where they lifted it, but for as long as I remember, you were only able to allow to have like 2 children, a male and a female, or something like that. Yeah. And if they'd have to kill the other one, you're not allowed to have more than a certain amount of children.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe you're right that the law was lifted. But yeah, it was a population thing. You got how many people are in China, right? I'm not saying that's the way to do it, right? I'm not saying that's the way to do it. I'm just saying like that was there because there's like, hang on, I'm gonna even find out because I want to know how many people in China.
Yeah, I want to know the population of China too. The population of America is like 350 million.
What's the population of China? 1.3 billion people.
Holy shit.
That's why they were doing it. I'm not saying it was the right way to do it, but
that's why, 100%.
They more people than resources. Like, look how they live in China. Like, and China's weird too, because China's one of those places in the world where you could be in a city with all the most amazing technology, and then you can drive for an hour and it's like living 100 years ago, 200 years ago.
Yeah, but soybean farms and a shed.
Right? Like, China is so weird to me.
Yeah, because look at Hong Kong. That is like a futuristic looking city.
Was. Now who knows what's going to happen to it.
Yeah, now. Yeah, but yeah.
I mean, it's China's a weird place, man. I don't trust it at all. But I mean, what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Right.
You know?
What do you think of Dubai? How that city progressed?
Dude, that was so fast. But there's so much money there. Right?
Oh, all the oil.
There's so much money there. So of course that was going to happen. And they're smart about it too. They're very smart about it. They're not building for now. They're building for 50 years from now. Right? Yep.
I would love to visit Dubai. It's so beautiful.
Oh,
and everybody there seems friendly. It's a huge tourism spot. They greet and are friendly to everybody from around the world. And you got to think, in the Middle East, people are scared to go there, but it's welcoming and safe there for everybody. Nothing happens in Dubai.
There, yeah, exactly. That's the place.
That's where their money comes from,
right? Oh yeah, exactly. And I mean, like, they got some of the most amazing buildings there.
Tallest building in the world.
Well,
now.
they built like a whole lake with an island and everything.
Yeah, and it like spirals out in arms, and they have houses, beach houses.
Yeah, right. Like,
I watched a time lapse video from satellite imagery of that area from the 1970s up until now, so about 40, 50 years. And it didn't start until like the 80s or so building, and I mean it's massive, it's huge and beautiful too.
Yeah, I know they've done something amazing there. But that's
when you have money like that coming in from something like that, like oil, like you said, that's why it happened so fast. Look,
yeah,
Manhattan and New York City, most of those skyscrapers were funded and built from the mob, from the mafia.
Yeah. No, yeah, exactly. Like it's about the money. Like that's how things get done. Regrettably enough, right? That's how things get done. It's all about the money. But the thing is it's a beautiful place, but it's fucked up there. Like you can't be gay there.
Yeah.
You're fucking dead. Yep. You're fucking dead. Like, you know, so there's still, as beautiful as it is, for someone like myself, probably it's cool to be me and be there.
Yeah,
what have
I wouldn't
you.
want to live there though.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right? Like it's cool to go and maybe hang out, but it's still messed up, man. It's still messed up there. It really is. I mean, to me, that just the whole gay thing to me is just it's stupid. It's why do people care? Who
yeah, I know, right? It used to be looked so, you know, like back in the, even look, I'm only 30, and when I was 10, it was the year 2000. Incredibly looked down upon. There was no open-mindedness to it at all. If you were gay, you were pretty much shunned. Nobody wanted to come out to even their family members and all that. And then something happened somewhere down the road not long ago where it's people applaud you for coming out, you know, and they respect you because you came out, and it's not frowned upon.
That's getting a little weird too, though.
But
that's
for the majority
weird too. Like not coming out or anything, but the way that people are getting praised for things, I think it's almost too much. It's almost too much. It's like people can put themselves in a position to be praised just by saying, "Hey, I'm this." And I'm not saying that they shouldn't be that. Be whatever you need to be as a person. As long as you're not hurting people, I don't do what you do. I don't care. Just be happy and show love. If that's all you do, then who cares who it's to, right?
Yep.
And who cares
people look
what
for
you
approval
look like?
Too
right?
much is what
but
it is. People look for approval.
That's the thing I'm finding now is like people are starting to fall into categories that they may or may not really be in to get that feeling of love or acceptance, just to have the feeling, right? And that's fucking scary to me, man. That is some scary shit, because that's and it's the younger people that that are falling into it. You know what I mean? They're the ones that, like, I guess a big thing is, and again, this is just stuff I've read or consumed or I've watched on podcasts and so on. But I guess like some places in the States, girls are getting together and they're all saying that they're gender whatever, neutral, whatever the group is doing, and to the point where like they're signing up for surgeries before they're even adults. And I'm not saying they are or aren't what they say they are, but when you have a group of 5 or 6 males, females, whichever, that are doing this as a group, you got to question it a bit. Because even if you look at statistically, there shouldn't be that many people like that in, you know what I mean?
Right.
Am I getting cross? Am I saying this properly?
No,
I don't even know.
No, you are. I know what you're trying to say. It should be a little suspicious that there's a group all together.
Statistically, it shouldn't happen. If you look at the ratio of how many people are gender whatever to people that aren't, and so on and so forth, the numbers aren't there for these groups to start popping up naturally. Right? As a natural occurrence. But it's happening all over the place, and it's generally in schools, and it seems to be a lot towards females.
And even then, like, they shouldn't be, in my opinion, if you're not even 18 yet and you're just thinking about doing this, you shouldn't be allowed to do that before you. I mean, your brain's not developed yet all the way. You don't know what you really want. Like, what if you change your mind when you're 24 years old? You know,
and that's
to let
teenagers
decide things like that. That's I don't know. I mean, if you know that's what you want to be. I mean, it's your life. You do what the hell you want, but when your brain's not developed yet, you got to set some boundaries for certain things.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, I have 4 daughters, right? And I want them to just be happy. Whatever that is to them, as long as they're happy, that's the most I could ever really ask out of life, is to make sure that they're happy with their life and who they are, no matter what that is. But on the same note, if one of them came to me saying, listen, I don't feel like I should be a girl, I don't want to be in this body, I could not condone until they were at least 19, or I'd even say 21, for them to move forward on anything that had to do with changing your physical appearance or taking any kind of a hormone or anything like that. Because listen, when I hit the wrong button, when I was a teenager, I thought I fucking knew everything. I thought, let's just put it this way. When I was a teenager, there was so much stuff that I thought that I fucking think back and go, what a fucking idiot I was. How fucking stupid was I to think that way? And the fact of the matter is,
there's chapters in life. Every decade seems like a chapter. So when you hit that adult life, 18, well, then, or even just 20s to 30s, that's where you kind of figure out some things, like, you know what I mean? More so than as a teenager. And if you still want to go that route, like if it was my kid, like you said, wait till you're 21, then it's your life.
Right? I mean, so much can change for you as a person over not even just a 10-year period, over a fucking 1-year period in your life. Yeah. So much can change. So much different influences can be put upon you in that period of time to change your mindset to things. It's I don't know. I just find I don't want my kids to make a decision at a young age that they will regret and cannot reverse for the rest of their lives, right?
Exactly.
What if right now they feel that way and they move forward with some kind of crazy thing, and then when they're older, they're like, I wish I didn't do that, and now I want to have children. I can't have children.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of cases of that, too. I'm sure there is. People regret something they did. As drastic as that, that's crazy when you think about it. You could reverse it, but all the hormones you
took,
some
stuff you can't.
It's that, yeah.
Some stuff you can't, right?
Some stuff you can't.
Like, I mean, if you've got hormones and what have you, then you aren't producing eggs anymore. You can't have children. There's no going back, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's just scary. I mean, I'm the last person to tell anybody what they should or shouldn't do. All right? I mean, what the fuck do I know? I'm just some dude trying to make my way fucking on this rock, hurling millions of miles an hour through space,
know, right?
Like, that's all I really am, right? So, last thing I'm going to do is tell anybody how to live their shit, because I don't want them to tell me how to live my shit. I'm going to figure that out.
Exactly.
All right? I'll figure that out. If I want to ask you for some help, that's different. But don't. I'll do my own shit. You know what I mean?
And we get that a lot here in the States. People tell you how to live your life. Just regular people like you and me. You go to out in public to the grocery store. There's always that one fucking. I need to buy your shirt from your merch store. That don't be a dick shirt. I need to buy it. I was looking on your merch store yesterday, and I need that shirt because I already had a shirt that I bought from Spencer's. It's a little retail chain for like gag gifts and like offensive shit.
We have Spencer's here in Canada.
You have Spencer's? Okay.
We used to, yeah.
I had a shirt that read, it was in like the block pattern down the shirt. It said, I'm not always a dick, just kidding, go fuck yourself. And nobody fucked with me in public. So, you don't fuck with me. Fuck off, You get that all the time. People out tell you, like, as far as the mask thing goes, all the time, people get into fist fights out here because the people aren't minding their own business. And not even just the mask thing, even other things like, oh, that's an offensive shirt. I've got that a couple times. Be like, well, are you ever going to see me again? Like, fuck
yeah,
you. Go down that aisle and live your life. I'll never, ever see you again. Don't tell me what I'm doing is offensive. And I mean, get the fuck out.
Everyone takes way too much offense to things nowadays, man. I mean,
the littlest shit, man.
It's almost a fucking joke at this point. Like, you can't make a joke about something. things are always taken out of context. They're getting rid of some. I guess they're banning or getting rid of some Dr. Seuss books.
Yeah, dude, I've seen that. Like,
right?
what?
Because of racial whatever. And okay, listen, I don't want people to be racist. I don't want people to be, hating on people. Like myself, I judge people on their actions, not on their words, not on the color, not on what they do behind their doors. Well, depending on what they're doing behind the doors. If they're, catching kids, and then I'm judging. But you know what I mean? Like their sexual preferences behind their doors. I don't care, right? That, but where the fuck was I going? I got off topic there. Oh, that's so bad. I need to smoke more weed. Hang on a second.
I know, I was thinking the same thing. I'm about to grab the bong too.
Yo, man, feel free. I'm gonna hit my little vape here. It's the good shit.
But you were saying how basically all the little things that people
yeah, thank you. I judge people on what they fucking do. What they do. Are you a nice person? Are you nice to this person? That's what I'm going to judge you on. Are you a fucking dick that tries to screw people over every chance you get? That's what I'm going to judge people on. Nothing else. Yep. And I think people need to get that in their fucking head. Doesn't matter what they eat, what you look like. None of that shit matters. How do you treat people around you? That's the only fucking thing that counts. And why
that
don't
should be the
people
only
get
thing that counts. I don't know why people don't get that. I really don't. People look at somebody like, oh, he's black, stay away from him. Like, what? Like, I have a lot of friends that are black. One of my good friends is actually a rapper and had me in a music video. Like,
Nice.
You can get along with people not based on the color of their skin or sexual preference. I actually, back
none of that
years
shit
ago,
should ever matter.
I lived with roommates at one point in my life, and my roommate was gay. He had his boyfriend over all the time, and he was a super nice, would give the shirt off your back to you, super good dude. And he got a lot of shit for being gay. You know what I mean? Like, for people that don't know him, that's why the term Karen came about. Because people like Karen can't mind their own fucking business and always have to tell you about your life, but what are you doing?
Yeah, right? And it's like, it shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter what people do as long as they're not hurting somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that's how we should judge people. And this whole bullshit now of going back into people's past and, oh, they said something or they did something 10 years ago or 15 years ago. Like, yeah, when the fucking world was a different place. Yeah.
Yep.
So people
what
can't
was one
change?
thing?
People can't change?
One thing I've seen an example of, this was it. What you just said, people bringing up shit from like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface in the movie.
All right. First off, hang on a second. Let me just, 1 second. That was a fucking acting role, number one.
Exactly.
Number two, that was some of the funniest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. I'm half black, all right? I took absolutely no offense to that. Personally, I thought that was a fucking courageous thing to fucking do, to bring yourself not only just to another fucking level to make entertainment for people. And that was fucking funny shit. Like, that was
it
funny
was. And
shit.
Nobody bat an eye when that movie came out in theaters about it. But then down the line, people wanted to fucking call him out about it and, really call him out about it.
I know.
Then you look at Dave Chappelle. I love Dave Chappelle.
I agree.
Super funny dude. But he played whiteface in his comedy sketch of Dave Chappelle, the Chappelle Show. Doing he always play the white guy as the news reporter, and he'd put that, it looks like flour caked on his face, and play whiteface. But,
look at
but nobody wants to say anything about
the
that.
Wayans brothers and White Chicks.
White Chicks? Bro, that movie.
That was another fucking hilarious movie, dude.
So
hilarious movie, right? But
so funny.
This is the thing. Why should this be a fucking problem? Right? It's like right now we're getting a lot of this. Oh, you can't use a heterosexual actor to play a non-binary. You got to find a non-binary. It's called fucking acting. It means you're being something you're fucking not.
Yep. It's such a true point, man. People went to acting school for it, and you're playing a role. You're playing a character. How are you supposed to play a character? You expect actors to be themselves? You know how boring that would be? If every movie actor was themselves in every movie, and they couldn't be somebody because of stereotypes and the shit like that. I mean, no way.
Exactly. It's just ridiculous that we want to be so not. It seems like the culture wants to be so fucking like, oh, you have to be this way or else you're not a good person. And if you do this, you're not a good person. And it's like, that makes no fucking sense. It makes no sense. You can't joke about things anymore because it's going to hurt so-and-so's feelings. Well, maybe I'm being fucking a dick, and I try not to be. I really, really try not to be a dick. But maybe so-and-so who's taking offense to it should fucking go find something else to listen to or watch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, why are you watching it then if you don't? Right? Yeah, exactly.
I don't like fucking the Hallmark fucking channel. Right? My wife puts on the I walk the fuck out the room. I don't want to watch it.
You don't have
I'm
to
not
be
fucking interested in it.
Anything.
Right? Yep. I find half the shit on there offensive. It's fucking ridiculous. Right? It is. If you ever watched some of those fucking movies, it's fucking ridiculous. Point is, leave the fucking room. Why do you have to kill somebody? It's not. People aren't taking that information in a negative mindset. Right?
Mm.
They're not. Like when I listen to a comedian, I know that that's not the comedian's real feeling about most things. It's called, he's making a joke out of it. He's trying to make us laugh about something that usually you can't laugh about. And you know what that does? That makes it easier to digest things. It makes it easier for us as people to fucking get it into our heads and break it down. Right? And to say, oh, you can't do that because I don't like the way it makes me feel. What about everybody else? It doesn't make me feel that way, so I have to go without because of the way you feel? Like,
yeah, one person ruins shit for everybody. If one person doesn't like it and they complain about it, shit gets shut down, for everybody else who do like it,
I know. And this is one of the things that scares me about what's going on in the world today is like everything's got to be us against fucking them, right? It's got to be this tribal mentality. If they're wrong, they don't do the right things, we have the right answers. And if you're part of us, great, we've got your back. But if you agree with even one fucking thing they say over there, you're gone. You're fucking one of them. You can't be with us. You're a horrible person. Like, how do things get done if that's the mentality that we have as people? Right? Why do I have to agree with everything you say or believe to have a fucking civil conversation, to come to a point of agreement? Why? I don't get that. Right? Like, that makes no fucking sense at all. Like, isn't the whole thing about compromise is that both parties don't get what they want, but things still move forward in a positive way?
Yeah, shit don't work like
everybody,
that no more, it seems like.
Right?
No mutual understanding.
Now it's just like it's either uber liberal or not. You know what I mean? Uber conservative. And everyone that's in between, which ironically is the majority that's in between, seem to have like no power, there's so much, that's the best way to explain this. There's so much of, because you agree with them, you can't be part of us going on, that nothing can get really sorted. Did that make sense the way I said that?
That makes total sense. That's what happened with our government when it came to the stimulus checks and, helping Americans out, was the fact that this was when Trump was still in office. You have Trump and his team. Everybody fucking hates him in Washington. And then you have the Democrats, and they fucking fought like 5-year-old siblings fight, and they can't agree on anything. Anybody in the way got either sent to jail. If you noticed, I don't know how much you've seen about our elections and stuff, but anybody on Trump's team that was standing in the way, in the middle, so to speak, that was still supporting him, but still also had other views, like maybe you shouldn't do that, Mr. President. You know what I mean? Still in the middle. They got thrown in jail right before Trump got out of office. He pardoned them. That was everybody wants to fight and argue and shit like that. Nothing got done. Nothing at all.
And it's like, okay, so then everybody knows this. This is the thing that frustrates me the most about, is we all know this is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it
Yeah,
falls
I
back
don't
to
know.
that. It falls back to this somewhat of an attitude of people of it'll pass. It'll pass. But it's not passing. It's just getting fucking worse. It's like usually I find usually things would be like on a pendulum, right? It would be over here, and the pendulum would swing, and then it would be over here, and the pendulum would swing, and that seemed to be the way things were for a lot of years, a lot of decades, right? That pendulum would swing, but now it's like the fucking pendulum is stopped dead in the middle, and that's it. There's no. It's either this or that, and there's nothing in between anymore. Although there is a ton in between.
Yeah, and it has been like that for a long time, but since COVID hit, it's been worse. And until shit gets back to normal, if it ever will, I don't see it getting any better. I don't know. It's too, at least here, it's too early to tell with having a new president, and as far as the decision making in government goes, it's too early to tell. I feel like it's just going to be constant bickering and arguing again on both sides, causing problems for everybody. I don't know what's going to happen. I really don't. But even in regular, normal people like me and you, people still, if you have one view and the other person has another view, oh, I automatically don't like you.
And to me, that makes no sense. No sense.
It doesn't.
I like using Don Hart as a example. Okay, Donnie, very religious man, extremely religious. Me, on the other hand, not so much, not really at all. And the reason is I don't know, and I'm not gonna pick a fucking side until I know for sure.
Right.
That's just kind of my thing. I'm not saying there is. I'm not saying there
but
isn't.
You're not
right?
gonna sit here and be like, oh, I don't like you because you are into the Bible or
I love
religion.
Don Hart with all my heart. That man makes me. I just love him so much. Okay, I could care less what his religion is or that. I'm glad he's religious. It gives him some. I don't even think religion is a bad thing necessarily. Okay, I'm just saying like I would never judge him because he believes something that I don't believe necessarily.
Exactly.
I don't know if he's right or wrong. I have no idea. That's why I'm not religious because I just don't know. But yeah, I would never judge him because of that. I love him because of that. I love him because he's the person that he is. And religion made him partially the person that he is. Right? So, like, how I don't get why a person would judge someone over religion or color of skin or where they come from or where they were born. Like,
yeah, I don't understand it either. That's what I mean when I said earlier, like, there's not one ground that we all as an equal race can agree on. There's not one thing. Everybody hates somebody for this or that, little things. There's no common ground with any issue or anything. And that's crazy when you think about it. There's not one thing that humanity can agree upon and not judge somebody for.
Yeah, and the weirdest part about it is, like I said, so many of us know it and wish it was different, but nothing ever changes.
Nope.
It really is just one of those weird fucking things that just on a daily basis I think of, and it just frustrates me. It really does.
Bong.
Yo,
we
hit
need
that
to rip
bong.
this shit.
Hit that shit,
We're about
boy.
to rip it.
Hit that shit.
I seen you hit the vape pen, and I was like, man, I need to.
Yeah,
need to
man.
hit this.
Go right ahead. I'll switch over to me, or I'll switch over to us, so just to see the top of your head. But no, man. I mean, seriously, like, I think things are getting better slowly, in some ways, but in other ways, it's just like we're fucking moving backwards. We're moving backwards. Like, going back to the Dr. Seuss books, I get, like, maybe, politically nowadays it's not correct, but why should we remove them? Shouldn't we read them to our children and then teach them why they were written that way and teach them why, you shouldn't do that anymore? But
that's that cancel culture for you. They're just going to cancel it,
right?
That's their whole mindset.
No, exactly. And it's like, I think a lot of things are happening where it's like we're relying too much on the government to guide us or control us or whatever you want to say, instead of taking it on ourselves. Like, I know for a fact the only way the world changes is not necessarily what I do right now, but it's what I teach my children to do, and
Right.
and what they teach their children to do, right? And if everything is taking away that we can use as learning experiences to teach our children to be better, and the government steps in, or political this or that steps in and says, no, this is the way that things should be, then it's all fucking over for us. It's all over. We're fucking nothing but a bunch of lemmings at this point, or sheep, whatever you want to put in your favorite phrase of person that follows the person in front of them, right? And it's fucking over for us, right? Now, I'm not saying that I don't think we need government, but I am saying that the structure of most major governments is not the right way to have it. It's not.
Yeah.
We need government. We need people there to make sure that, there's regulations on certain things. I think some things need to be regulated, right? Fucking, when you're building automobiles for people, they need to be regulated, right? You can't that regulation body has to be outside of the organization that it's regulating. That makes sense to me, right?
But with government, you get you put people in power like that, there's always going to be power plays and shady shit.
Well, that's
every time.
That's kind of where I was heading with it. Was just like, jobs like that should be minimum wage or not. They should enough to survive. You know what I mean? Like, you shouldn't want to get into a job, a political job, or into government to make money.
Right.
Right?
It's greed and power.
That's why people do it, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely going to be people out there that originally will get into it for change and will stay through. But they're not going to be the movers and the shakers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the ones that are going into it to make something of themselves, to have that power, to get that money. Those are the ones that are in control, as it were. Right? That are able to make decisions. Right? And again, this is something that we have let happen. I just don't know what to do about changing it, or how to, or if it can be at this point.
I don't know. I really don't.
I mean, it's...
You've heard of Edward Snowden, I'm sure.
Yes.
How he leaked what was going on, and he leaked information that the government had on spying on U.S. I mean, the surveillance program was for terrorist organizations, anything like that, but they spied mainly more than on the groups that they were targeting. They spied more on the American people and seeing what they were doing, and that came out to be true. And he leaked it, and the government wants him dead.
Of course.
He's still in asylum and in hiding.
Oh, I know. I mean, we could talk about the government all day because it is a messed up thing, and I don't think like, my government's obviously different than yours. I wouldn't say it's better. It's just it's different. I don't think there is too many government structures on the planet that are actually really helpful. I mean, to an extent. I think the government should be more about infrastructure and, taking care of roads and that end of things, than being able to necessarily tell people what they should or shouldn't be doing. That's my opinion. I mean, I could be totally off. I just think...
What do you guys have there for your government? It's prime minister, right? That's what you guys have?
It's very similar. It's kind of like a hybrid between what you have in the States and what you get in, like, Britain, right? Like, I always joke and say Canada's like Britain light. Like, we got the Queen on our money, all that stuff, right? But, I mean, we were a British colony. So everything's kind of based from that. Like, technically, the monarchy from Britain is still connected to our country in a way. Don't ask me how, because that was one of the things.
I think it's like that for Australia too, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure they have the Queen on their money too.
It could be. There's a few places. There's quite a few places that have the Queen. Like Barbados. It was also so they have the Queen on their money, I believe. Also, but there's quite a few places. But the thing is like our government. I don't know. It can be a bit of a joke sometimes itself. I find ours is very fucking. It's very liberal. And Canadians don't understand, like how I don't even understand it as well as I probably should. But I know like certain things, like the biggest thing I find Canadians have a problem with is like we're so influenced by America that we tend to think that we have a lot of the same rights and stuff as you guys do, but we don't. And like one of the big things I can't stand hearing is people talking about freedom of speech. We don't have freedom of speech in Canada.
Really?
No, we don't. We have something similar, and for some reason, probably because I've been fucking hitting that vape pen like a monster, it's not coming to me what it's called at this moment. It's very similar, but the difference is like here in Canada, if there's a problem, they can make a committee and they can be like, no, what you're saying isn't what we like, and they can fucking shut you down.
No.
So it's a little weird here. But one thing I did want to ask you, and I've heard it come up a few times before the election because of COVID and everything. But where's your mindset on universal income?
That's a good question, actually. I forget his name. Dude, I took those 2 huge ass rips from that bong too.
Dude,
now I'm sitting here stoned.
We don't need fucking names.
Yeah, fuck names. Just take our word for it, you know. But no, there's that one guy.
Damn it. It's called Google. Get on it.
He's all for it, like $2,000 a month or whatever. Same as the idea as the stimulus checks, but every month, you get paid from the government for necessities, rent and food, utilities. And I don't know, man. Like I thought about that. And it's such a weird idea to what we're used to. I don't know how that would benefit and how that could be, because you got to think that would create less jobs, I'd imagine. If everybody gets free money, either the cost of living is going to go higher to where you still had to work to make money to, like, it's not basically that basic universal income isn't going to pay for all of it. You still have to work, so I could see the cost of living going up if they do that. But I could also see it as a good thing. There'd be less crimes for robbery and money-related crimes. There'd be less of that. And I don't know. It takes a lot of thought, I would think, as a government to process something like that, to weigh out all the pros and cons enough to do it.
So okay, let me blow your mind a little bit. I don't know. This may or may not blow your mind. So okay, this is a thing that has come up here also in Canada before. Actually, back in the 70s, they did a long scale kind of test run of it. They chose one small city or town here in Canada. I believe, I'm thinking it was in BC, but I might be wrong about that. It's moot where it was, really. But they did this, and the whole town got supplemented income, and they pretty much, after it was done, just fucking buried all the fucking research. But it has come out, like everything does eventually, and we're finding out now that there was way more positives than negatives. Most people that worked still worked. If they did do something, it was usually to better themselves. So they take the money to educate themselves to get a better job. They would use it to free up time to be able to better themselves. Maybe have more time to be with family, all this stuff. So again, the positives were way, way higher. Now, back in 2016, I believe, they started it again. They did another run of it here in Canada. And it was, I believe, just outside of Windsor. And it was supposed to be a 1-year thing. The governments got changed. And literally, like the minute after the Ford government came in, they fucking shut it down. They killed it. And that's when all the information of the old thing came out. Here's my kind of thing on it. It's been done. It's been proven it can work. The biggest thing I usually hear back is that oh, if you give people money, they're going to be lazy. They're not going to do anything. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Lazy people are lazy people, man. They're going to be lazy. People that aren't lazy aren't going to be lazy. Doesn't matter how much fucking money you give them. They're not going to be. Look at fucking billionaires. Do they look like lazy people? They don't gotta fucking work. They're doing it. Right?
Yep.
Like, they don't. When you have $1 billion, you don't need to make another $1 billion. You can literally do whatever the fuck you want for the rest of your life.
But they're still working.
But they still work.
Yep.
Right?
Elon Musk doesn't hardly. I don't know how he manages his time with all the shit he does. And not even him.
He's
Bill
everywhere.
Gates even. Bill Gates. You know why? That's a weird thing too. Like I said with the vaccines, why does he got to do that? You know, go from a tech guy your whole life to going and doing that. But that we already talked about all that. But another billionaire, Jeff Bezos. Busy as fuck, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like
all the time, working, and you know, yeah, man. That's what I'm saying. You don't need to make more money you could retire and live comfortably.
Lazy people are gonna be lazy people. Okay, that's just the way it is, right? Like we have like a welfare system here, right? The people that are on that system, not all of them, but there is probably a fair majority that they're just lazy people and they wanna milk that system. Okay, and that's gonna be there anyways. We're still fucking putting out that money to those people now.
Mm-hmm.
So why not kick money to the people that need it so they can better themselves? With the second pilot program, most of the people that were involved with it, they were, for the most part, either using the money to go back to school to re-educate, right? Or they were using it in lieu of work for a period of time to start their own business, right? Myself, I think I don't know what the ratio should be, what the amount should be, but I definitely think we should be at a point in our society that everybody does get a base amount of money every month to cover the basics. There's no reason not to, right?
Well, see, I think it might be a good thing. Maybe they just need to try it because they've never tried that here, and I just don't know how it would go. I could see it being a good thing.
Well,
maybe they should just try. I remembered his name too. His name is Andrew Wang.
Andrew Wang, thank you. That's it. Andrew Wang. Yep. That's right. Andrew Wang. But like, think about what would $2,000 a month do for you? Like right
for me,
now,
it would if the cost of living stayed the same.
Yep.
And didn't change. $2,000 just for me would take care of everything I need. Everything.
Right.
And it would take care of every necessity. It would literally pay for. I got 3 kids and live with my girl, so and then if I got it, she would get it. You know what I mean? So I would imagine, unless it's for one household.
There would be a cap on a household. The way it would work here is there was a cap. I believe the household cap was like $2,500 or $2,600 a month, and the single was something like $12 or $15 or something a month.
But even then,
right?
that would take care of everything.
The next thing is also the way it worked here is once you made a certain amount of income, it dropped how much you got a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did it? I'm trying to remember how it worked because I thought this was very, very genius part of it also, and it was something you could opt out of, and I believe that's what was happening there too with the proposal was that if you didn't want it, you didn't have to take it either. You could opt out of it, right? But I believe it worked like if you made over X amount a year. For every dollar you made over the amount, you would get 50% or 50 cents off every dollar taken off of that monthly amount you got from the government.
That is pretty genius,
right?
Actually.
So the more money you made over the maximum amount that you were allowed to make to receive the full benefit, they would take off only 50 cents to the dollar, right? So you would still be getting that until you were at a point where you were at a high enough income that was kind of moot to you.
Yep.
right?
They did something similar to that with the pandemic checks that we got here, the stimulus checks.
Right.
It was something similar to that. If you made a certain amount of money, you either, I don't think they had a tier system with it, but if you made over a certain amount, you didn't get one. That's
Right.
how they rolled that out.
Right.
I had a question for you too, though.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
It's completely different topic.
No, go.
But
give
you
her,
were
man.
mentioning, comedy and whatnot earlier. Do you love stand-up comedy?
Oh, I love. Of course, I love. Stand-up
Who's your
comedy.
favorite? Who's your favorite stand-up comedian?
Well, my favorite stand-up comedian now, I wouldn't say I have one anymore. My favorite stand-up comedian when he was alive, would have been.
Can I make a guess? See if I'm right.
You're gonna get
with
it
your type of humor.
Go ahead.
George Carlin.
You got it. I love that man to the day he
That's
died.
my favorite too.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I love George Carlin to the day he died.
He should have been president for all I'm fucking concerned.
Right? Well, he got it. And not only did he get it, he knew how to portray it to you in a way
break
that
it down enough for us to understand.
Yeah, you could get what was going on, and it was digestible. You could digest it. You'd laugh. You would get.
He was so fucking.
You know what
funny.
I mean? And he was so amazing at doing that. But since he passed, I do not have a favorite anymore. There's so many great comedians though. Like I'm pumped up about Eddie coming back.
Oh, Eddie, what for Coming to America?
No,
too?
he's supposed to be going back
5th,
out,
baby.
dude. Live.
March 5th, baby.
Stand up. I know.
Oh,
I have Amazon already. He's
going live stand up. I didn't know that.
So before COVID hit, the whole idea that was supposed to go on with him was they were going to release the movie, and then everyone and all the comedians in the movie were going to go do a tour, a stand up tour.
No shit.
Yeah, right. So it's still supposed to be happening. It's just been delayed because of COVID. But
Bro, he's one of my favorite old
dude. I know.
Comedians.
When I heard Eddie was coming back, I lost my mind.
That's awesome.
He was so young then, dude. He was so young during Raw and Delirious. He was a child.
Wasn't 21? Yeah,
he was a fucking kid. A kid, man. Like that's so exciting. Just that.
And you know what's crazy? He never aged. He looks the goddamn
I know.
same.
Isn't it ridiculous?
It's so weird.
It's so ridiculous what he's exactly the same. But yeah, I'm totally pumped up about watching Coming to America too. Like I said, I have Amazon Prime already, so yeah, it's gonna be able to fit on it. So I'm pumped up for that.
I can't wait. It was 30 years later. Isn't it something like that?
Exactly.
They still have the same two, Arsenio Hall and Eddie Murphy.
I know, and he's still playing. Awesome. He's playing all the characters he played before in it, plus some new ones.
I'm gonna have to watch the first one before I watch the second one just to get refreshed on it.
Yeah, I actually usually watch that movie usually at least once a year. Usually about once a year I watch that.
Okay.
But I have a few movies that I try to watch at least once a year. When it comes to Christmas time, I've always got to watch Christmas Vacation. Have to watch Christmas Vacation and Scrooged. I gotta watch Scrooged.
Would you say those are your favorite movies?
I'm not big on favorites. I mean, those are definitely ones that I just don't feel like it's Christmas unless I watch them.
Just ones that you will never get sick of watching.
Yeah,
basically.
I will always, every year I will watch Scrooged. Every year I will watch Christmas Vacation. Every year I'll watch, Coming to America. There's a lot of them I'll watch. And I'm weird like that too. Like TV series is the same way. I'll go back and I'll watch TV series over and over again every so many years. I'll get back into them and play them out. But
I've never been big into TV series. Stranger Things was awesome though. I did get into that one.
I haven't even watched it yet.
But I'm always, because for me, like you're telling me, my girl loves Supernatural. She's rewatching
Love it.
She's rewatching every episode, and she's already been through every season.
Yep.
And I asked her, I'm like, why are you watching it again? She's like, you got to understand, there's like, 20 or 30 seasons with like 20 episodes in each. It's a lot. You don't remember every episode. So she rewatches it. And I don't have the time for that, man. I just will sit down and watch a movie. You know what I mean?
I will do like a couple episodes. I'll just pick something and I'll just watch an episode whenever I can to bang it out. I will say now my watching of stuff has drastically reduced. I'm doing what I'm doing now. But I mean, the great thing about most of the stuff I watch is like 40 minutes. So just do a 40-minute episode, and in the 40 minutes episode tomorrow, and whatever, right?
Right.
Something
You
to
got
look
some
forward to.
episodes and seasons that are like an hour long, an hour and a half, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of time.
Yeah, I do enjoy binge watching though. That's I think one of the greatest things the internet has given to us is the ability to binge watch television series with no commercials back to back. That just makes me a very happy person. Now I wanted to talk to you. I was going to bring it up earlier because we briefly kind of touched it when we were talking about giving time. Having the human mind starting to develop more and work more, and opening up parts, saying that we only use a certain amount of our brain power. I couldn't find a way to segue over, and we were going on the other things, but I think when getting back to kind of that end of things, I really think that hallucinogenics are the key to opening up the rest of our mind.
Yes.
Here
we go.
Do.
We're going down the rabbit hole now. Okay.
Yeah, baby.
Dude, like,
boy.
Okay. I've done acid. I've done shrooms.
Same with me, my man.
I've never done. I love marijuana. I have only done acid and shrooms a few times. It's not it's a very special occasion for me because it really opens up certain part. I've never had a bad trip or bad experience.
Me neither. I'm lucky that way.
I felt more around me, and I felt, not spiritual, but more understanding to other people, having more empathy for others. And they are talking about in the government using. I mean, it's always been around in the government, honestly. LSD.
They made it. The government, didn't they?
Yeah,
I believe
almost
so.
at LCD, like we're talking about TVs. No. LSD, I mean, that was used as a mind control experiment, that drug was. And,
well,
it's
not
always
just
been in the
mind
government.
control, but they also used it to for ESP and to test out things like that too. Not just controlling someone's mind, but someone being able to control other things with their mind. Although I don't think that worked out very well for them. Yeah,
it backfired. I think that they tried to do it the first time. They just didn't know what to expect. It's new shit. But now there is the government's trying to, certain states, I think Colorado is going to be the first one if they aren't already.
They're doing all kinds of stuff over there with shrooms and
with psilocybin. There's a lot of medical treatments that could be helped by that, by giving a certain amount of dosage, just like a prescription medicine. If you could do it that way, it will treat a lot of things.
Well, microdosing is another amazing thing also that kind of gets evaded when you're talking about psychedelics, because people tend to think, psychedelics, you're tripping out, and it can be used to that level, but can also be used like microdose wise, and little bits of it into your body. It's been shown to make a lot of changes through your brain chemistry and the way that neurons fire and the regeneration of neurons, and allowing the brain also to find new paths to the same spot when other paths have broken down. I mean, there's a lot just to the microdose end, not necessarily the tripping end. But I'm very interested in tripping end because, like you, I've done LSD. I did a lot of LSD when I was younger, ridiculous amount of LSD. And as for shrooms, I've only done what they call the heroic dose once in my life. Regrettably, I didn't do it in a proper environment. I did it in more of like a party environment. I had a fucking great time. Don't get me wrong.
Wasn't a bad trip?
I've never had a bad trip. I'm like you. I've never had a bad
trip.
trip. I've been very, very lucky that way. I think it's a mindset thing too. Definitely lucky on that hand. But I usually do shrooms at least once or twice a year. Not always like nothing like what they call a heroic dose, which the heroic dose, right?
I don't know.
So the heroic dose is supposed to be 5 grams of shrooms. And that is supposed to open the door, as it were, open your third eye and crack you through to that other realm, or lift the veil, whatever you'd like to say it. And so the 5 grams is supposed to be that starting mark. And like I said, I've done that once in my life. And again, I was young then. I didn't even use shrooms that way then. It was recreational. It was party. It was a good time. But now that I'm older and more mature, and now usually when I do have shrooms, it's like a gram or so, just enough to make you giddy and laugh at everything and make you love everyone around you. But that's one of the things that I like about shrooms, and why I think more people should take them, is because you do feel more sympathetic, you do feel more loving, and you want to be more caring when you're not, tripping balls to that next level.
Yep.
But I think really like that, when you study people that are on these things, their brains are working in ways that they never work normally. There's areas firing. I haven't done DMT yet. I say yet.
I was gonna say that heroic dose you were talking about. I was gonna bring up DMT because it sounds like one hit of DMT will get you to that heroic dose level.
Well, it'll
open up that third
exactly. Eye. Well, this is why I want to do DMT so much. One, I want the experience. I want to open those doors. I want to peek through the veil. But on the same note, shrooms, you eat 5 grams of shrooms, you're going on a 6-hour fucking balls to the wall bender. You do like 3 puffs or whatever. Usually they say it's 3. You do 1, 2, 3 on DMT, exhale, and then you're gone. By the third one, you're fucking not here anymore. I don't know. I've never done it, but just I've watched, I've read, I've seen.
But how long does it last? DMT doesn't last
like minutes,
nearly as long.
Minutes,
Yeah,
like
10,
15 minutes. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought.
Right.
That's what I thought.
And again, that breaks down into that mind thing too of time, because supposedly those 15 minutes can feel like 15 hours or an hour, or it doesn't feel the amount of time that it would feel when you'd normally do something. You know what I mean?
So with bringing that up, do you think that because of the brain capacity level that we were talking about, do you think there's other dimensions that we just can't see because we don't use enough?
Most definitely. Oh, most definitely. I mean?
Like if there is another realm of, like, let's just use the term spiritual. Let's say there's spiritual warfare going around us that we can't see, but that's what some people can feel. You feel that
it could be. It could
presence.
Very well be.
There's some weird shit out there that we just can't tap into because our brain can't power up to that level.
No, exactly. I totally agree with that. That's why I'm glad that there's research being done. There's a lot of research actually being done in Canada. Here's some fun fact. Here in Canada, well, in Ontario, I can grow mushrooms in my house legally. Psilocybin.
I didn't know that.
Yep, legally I can grow them. I can have them. The only thing I'm not allowed doing is drying them out.
Really?
Yep. That's having dried out mushrooms is an offense.
Because that is then it considered a drug because you can eat them.
Well, you can eat them when they're raw. It just takes a lot more.
That's what I thought
you got to eat
a
lot more raw ones than dried out.
That's such a weird law. Like what?
I think
if
it's.
You can't
I think
have
it's.
dried out,
well, here's
why would
the
they
thing.
Just let you grow
if they're gonna let you grow it, the only time I've ever heard of anyone being busted for mushrooms is usually because they're getting busted for something else.
Right.
And they have like if you're looking at a small amount wise, usually they're getting busted for something else and they have mushrooms on them. Right? Or they're doing a raid of some kind of drug facility and there's a bunch of mushrooms there. Right? I've never heard of people just randomly on the street getting busted for shrooms ever in my life.
Not here either. Only very rarely it's in the news, but I know people that, do them, and it's not, anytime there's a drug-related offense in our local newspaper, whatever, it's always cocaine, heroin, meth, and marijuana. Never do I find people in news articles at all around here getting busted for hallucinogenics at all.
No.
So it makes me wonder. I know they're out there, and people have them.
Oh, for sure.
For sure. 100%, but they're not getting caught with it. And I don't think, they don't go raid and bust people for shit just for that.
Exactly. It's totally different. Like here, again, it never really hear about it. They're easy to get. I can literally hop online and order a whole fucking kit with the spores and everything and the container to put it in, all that stuff, and just grow it right here in my house, which I'm going to be doing. But yeah, for sure, why not, right? I grow my own pot, I might as well fucking make my own shrooms too.
Right.
But exactly. No, but I'm definitely interested in, because I think there's more. I think there's more to this world than what we can perceive. I really, really
I think
do.
so too.
And have you ever, you know about the stoned ape theory, right?
You were mentioning it in one of your streams. That was the stream that we were talking about that said, okay, we need to do a podcast.
Right.
Why don't you refresh my memory?
Okay, so again, it's been a while since I've read it or watched. There's a couple podcasts about it and such. But in a nutshell, the theory is that at some point in time in our past, before we were mentally where we are now, we were, nomadic. And we followed the beasts around, buffalo, whatever it was at that time, because they knew where food was, and it was an easy way for us to feed, right? Because we no longer live in the trees, yada, yada, yada. We stand up right now so that we can see over the grasslands that we're now living in, yada, yada, yada. All right. So as we follow these beasts around, of course, they drop shit. On this shit, mushrooms grow. Well, we're scavengers, right? So we eat the mushrooms. These mushrooms are psilocybin. We start tripping balls. And as you know from taking mushrooms, they make you feel loving and caring, and you see things and colors and all this stuff. And basically the theory brings up that it allowed changes in our mind to bring up everything from art, music, religion, all this stuff.
I could totally see that happen.
Of stemmed from there. Now, doing that, they think that might be one of the reasons why the human brain developed so fast. Because when you microdose, like I said, microdose psilocybin, it does rewire things. It does allow neurons to work better. It does all these things to the brain. Even like make eyesight more acute. Hearing more acute, especially on a microdose level, and this stuff has been tested. Like, it's not just like it's
that is true too. I was going to mention right there when you said that your vision enhances a little bit.
Yeah.
Hearing, when I never did huge doses. I took because I was new to it. I've only done it like a few times. I said I've never, but I noticed from the times that I've done it, something happened. Something happened, and it was I got like not tunnel vision, but just enough where you could focus in on everything around you. And that's why your pupils get big too. Your pupils get huge and you could absorb in more. I was super focused on it too, like aware of my surroundings the whole time. It was not a bad experience. I felt more to me, but at the same time felt that love and other things going on. My hearing was increased, especially when listening to music. I could hear all the fine as a musician,
right?
I play guitar.
Yeah.
I could hear all those little intricacies in music, even not with guitar, with any instrument. I'm just musically inclined, and I could hear all the fine details that if I wasn't just normally listen to it, I wouldn't have caught that.
Right. And it's quite amazing the effects that come from it. So here you have this happening over and over again, and this is kind of the theory of how human mind got to where it is now. I dig it. Again, it's a theory, because how do you prove that?
Right, exactly.
Right? Time machine. That's how. I mean, so it's a theory, but I can see where the steps fall in place. And looking at what we know right now through science and what I could see it happening. So again, it brings me back to maybe these things are the next step to opening the mind and having it open all the way. Like I said, have not been able to do DMT yet. I want the scenario to be perfect. I want, to have the time afterwards to reflect. I want to be
exactly
with one other person and only one other person, and
somebody to watch you.
Exactly.
And make sure you're sitting down the whole time.
Yeah, I don't want my kids around. I don't want none of that stuff. I just
that's a perfect environment.
Exactly, right? So I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. It will be coming though. So I want to see beyond the veil because like I said, I've always known that I've always felt, I can't say I know, I've always felt that there's more. Now, again, I'm not a big follower onto the religion end of things, okay? Because I don't know. But I know there's more, so that could be it. I do not know. But I do think that exploring reality through these other substances. I don't like to use the word drug, especially when I'm talking about LSD or marijuana. I don't like using the word drug with them because drug has such a bad kind of thing to it. I think drugs are more like things that we make. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I guess kind of DMT, we do make it, but it's something our body makes too, so I give that a little leeway. But no,
I mean, all that stuff is nature. When it comes down to
exactly.
It comes from nature. DMT comes from nature. Like you said, psilocybin mushrooms come from nature. They grow naturally. Marijuana grows naturally.
Right. Well, LSD is kind of the black sheep.
Yeah.
Because it does kind of grow naturally, but you have to kind of extract it. Yeah, you have to. There's little work to be done with it. But I mean, still, like one of my goals in life is to also not just DMT, but to do the whole ayahuasca experience.
I've heard of that, but I don't know too much about that.
Well, ayahuasca is like, I guess, very similar to, from what I understand, it's like LSD and MDMA and psilocybin kind of all put together. At least from what but there's a place in, I believe, Peru. What is it? Burning Man, I believe it's called.
Oh, yeah.
I've checked into it. It's a little bit out of my price range right now, but that is something in my lifetime I do want to do, is a Burning Man experience, and it's like a full week. Like every day you go through it, you have a guide. That to me, I think, as a culture of people, we need to be working more towards and looking more into that, because even if just like if you gave everybody shrooms that could handle it, like everybody that wanted to take them, because if you don't, and I could see bad shit happening then. Or if you have some mental issues, I could see some bad shit happening then.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, that's for sure.
No, but you can't say if you took 100,000 people that are like-minded and do or have done shrooms, and you gave them a whole bunch of shrooms, bad things wouldn't happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it would be a fucking giggling love fest.
I mean, it's just like marijuana. Marijuana's not for everybody even.
No. And it's funny because I used to be the biggest marijuana advocate, that everyone should do it. Do it now. It can't harm you. No one's ever been killed by it. And I mean, that's still a fact. But on the same note, I didn't know what I know now. And I know now that if your brain isn't fully developed, and if you have the tendency in your family genetically to have some different mental disorders, depending on, the severity, that smoking marijuana could make you have negative effects. It could trigger things in your mind. I've heard stories of perpetual paranoia. Like, even after they weren't stoned, they're just like paranoid forever. So, I mean,
I've seen articles saying that marijuana in certain cases, not widespread, but it could even like set the scale of schizophrenia higher if people aren't diagnosed yet for schizophrenia.
Exactly.
And have that, it'll make it worse. And
exactly.
Even the most common, I'm not even going to call it a drug, but just, let's just call it that for the sake of the argument.
Yeah.
The most common drug, that's not even for everyone.
Well,
there's nothing that's
let's just look at a Tylenol or Advil.
Yeah, that too.
People die from that every year.
Yep.
Every year. You don't hear about it, but it happens. Every year, people die from just taking Advil, Tylenol, aspirin.
And you can go buy that without any problem at all.
Walk in the grocery store and
right
get
on
it.
the shelf.
So, I mean, there's with anything, because humans aren't all equal. I mean, we're very similar, but we're not all equal. And because of that, some people are going to have adverse effects to some things. I can eat peanut butter. I know people that can't eat peanut butter.
Right.
There you go. Right? We're
Yep.
not, well, we are kind of fucking banning peanut butter. It's a little ridiculous, really. But you know what I mean? Like, it's, people aren't equal. As much as we are, or we should be treated that way, biologically, we're not all equal, right?
Yeah.
So it
But I think that would
definitely
be a great. I think that would be a great thing, though, if the government could do that, or just labs. This research. It doesn't have to be the government. The government doesn't have to fucking own everything. God damn it.
It's very true. Very true.
It could be just companies. If there's a company that can research it enough and make the right amount of dosage and do it in such a good manner, producing it to give to people just to hit that certain level of empathy and stuff, amazing things could happen with hallucinogenic research.
Well, right now they're doing that research here in Canada, and I believe, like you said, in Colorado they're doing a lot of stuff right now also.
Yep.
And that's, I believe, if memory serves, that's exactly what they've been doing, is everything from micro dosing to like larger doses. And they've also been doing stuff with, I believe in Colorado especially, with people with PTSD, and getting amazing results with DMT. Like one DMT experience and no more problems with PTSD. Now, that's not necessarily for everybody, but it has happened to more than one person in the experiment where they've done it. Now, they're still going to therapy. They're still, right? But all they needed was that one initial dose. Right? And that was enough to open up whatever, to allow them to deal with whatever it was, whatever happened to them was enough with continuing therapy to make it go away, to allow them to function
totally
normally.
believe that too.
Right?
That's amazing.
And that is so amazing. And I just think, like, people just have such negative looks at things because they've been told for years and years and years that something's wrong, and there was no real reason for them to make, LSD, any of them, marijuana, any of the lower end stuff that we've been talking about. There's been no reason to really ever make them illegal in the first place, other than, like, we can control it, right? So I'm just glad now we're getting to a point where we're starting to research it. We're starting to learn more about it, and I'm all about trying to figure out what's on the other side, because I don't think that we're just flesh and bone. I think there is more to consciousness than what we grasp. I really do.
I think there is too.
And I truly think that stuff like psilocybin and LSD and DMT is that gateway, is that doorway to explore and figure it out. I want to try it myself, and I'm always looking for, like, I'm always looking for that next new rush. No, I'm always looking for like something that's gonna open my eyes to new ways of looking at reality, right? Because my reality is not going to ever be the same as your reality, right?
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't understand that. I think a lot of people just think, I see a Coke bottle, you see a Coke bottle, you see a Coke bottle, everyone just sees a Coke bottle. And yeah, that might be true for you, but that might not be true to the person beside you, right? And the crazy thing is there's no way to prove it, right?
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah, it's hard. You can't. Can't prove it.
We can go down this rabbit hole for a few minutes, because I always like doing it. The whole think, therefore I am, brain in a jar, we live in a simulation. All of them kind of revolve around each other in various ways. But it's always fascinated me thinking that, like, it is possible that everything I see and interact with is totally fake, but there's
Give
no
me
way.
1 second. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, man. There's no way to prove it that it is or isn't.
Sorry, my daughter was talking to me.
No
My girl
worries.
just got home and she came up running through the door and said, "Food's here, food's here."
Nice.
I didn't hear what she said because the
Headset. That's all good, bro. That's all good.
But the very last part that you just said, what was that?
That's a good question. What was that? I think I need another hit of my vape. Hang on a second.
That's awesome. We were talking about how your reality wouldn't be the same as mine and
right.
whatnot.
So yeah. So again, everything that I see could be just made up. It could be,
and there's things that are invisible that we can't see in our dimension.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you can see it with using certain technologies, but wind.
Well, yeah,
you feel it, but you can't see it. There's things that are, and there's other things too. But there's definitely another. If you use more brain power, and there's other dimensions there. I mean, I feel shit around me too. So I don't know. It's like you said, it's something you can't prove, but it's there.
Well, that's it, and it's always. My kid gets freaked out, right? And she's like, "Oh, like, why do you talk about that? Like, what if it's real?" I'm like, "Well, here's the thing. It's cool to talk about, and even if, let's say this all is a simulation, all of it is a simulation. I'm the only real sentient being in all of this. Let's just say that's the way it is. Why does it matter? How does that change anything? I still have to move from this point of the simulation to whenever it ends, right? So I could either be like, oh, this is a simulation, who cares, doesn't matter what I do, it's all bull crap, I'm just gonna sit on my ass and do nothing with my life. Or I could be like, this is a simulation, maybe, and it doesn't fucking matter because I still want to be a good person, I still want to enjoy the experience that I have here. So I might as well just keep on moving forward, right?
Yeah.
But it's always, what else could you do? I mean, you shut yourself down or you keep moving. Those are your options, right?
Yep.
But it's always cool to think about because it's like, what if? What if we there's so much we don't comprehend yet. And
there's scientific arguments on whether this is a simulation or not. Again, it's something you just can't prove yet, but
well, actually,
there's been talks on that.
It's like a 1 in 3 chance. There's like a 1 in 3 chance that our reality is a simulation, right? Because either we haven't come up with the technology yet, okay? We have come up with the technology, we haven't come up with it, or we have come up with it and we're not using it for whatever reason. So that's the first option. The second is that we are indeed in a simulation, right? Or the third option is we did come up with the technology, but we obliterated ourselves, so therefore we can't use it. So the projections of reality, those are the 3 things that could happen. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that you
even said that you're not religious because you don't know. What if God isn't what we see him as being in pictures? He's a creator, something. And the way we make things like supercomputers these days, all types of technology from when it's invented and used only gets better throughout time. And computers haven't been around that long. They really haven't. When you go from computers and having a supercomputer, look what we could do with technology with computers. We can play a video game. As me and you both know, as being streamers, there's games that are made so well, and you feel your connection with the character you're playing in the worlds, the open world games, all this stuff you could do. It's not a simulation, but you're controlling somebody on a video game in a world. And if you just progress technology, it's some kind of technology that it takes to run a simulation, as big as this could be.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, it could be 100% like everything except for your consciousness is that end of things, right? That simulation end of things. I get excited just talking about technology and talking about the gaming end of things. Like, how far away are we from like Ready Player One?
Right, exactly.
Virtual reality. Like, I think people don't understand. Like, we're literally on the cusp of that. we're on the cusp, like I think probably 5 to 10 years, if that, where we'll have a fully functional virtual reality world that people can interact with each other in all kinds of various ways. Now,
Oh yeah,
at that point, you throw in Neuralink and shit just changes to a different fucking level, right?
that's what I mean.
I know
when we
we
get to
keep
that
bringing
technology,
Neuralink up a lot.
I know, but that thing ties in with everything.
I
to do
know,
with
right? I
all
know.
this stuff. It really does. If you took that and you yourself is now in a virtual world with technology of virtual reality gaming.
Well,
And then
that's
you
it.
bring a Neuralink, and then you bring a Neuralink to, put that brain implant in, and at that point, it basically is a full-fledged simulation.
Well, exactly. And I mean, something you would be instantly able to connect into. Sit
Mhm.
down in your chair, close your eyes, open your eyes, and you're in that other realm, that other space, right? How exciting is that? I cannot wait till something like that happens. But then do we get into the situation of like what you would see in Star Trek with like hollow addiction, right? Like, how is that going to affect people? How many people are going to want to just be in that better place? You know, like
Exactly.
here on Earth, I'm a 5'5" fucking short fat guy, but in virtual reality, I could be anything. I could be anybody, right? So what's driving people from not staying there and staying here, right? And
Imagine that technology when it happens to where you can just go to a virtual world and be somebody else. Let's take that technology and advance it another 50 to 100 years, like they have done with video games already, making it so much better. Let's take that so much better. It could eventually, as technology goes on, be a full. You can maybe, like with Neuralink, you could transfer consciousness to something, so you don't need this shell of a body. You could take you and
yes,
put you there 100%, and now you are that, and now you're living in a full-fledged, legit simulation, but you left the shell. You don't need it anymore, a biological shell. You mix AI with the biological, first, and then progress that technology. You can move consciousness, I would imagine.
but then that gets into the debate of what is consciousness, right?
Exactly. They'd have to, by the time they had that
Right?
technology, they'd figure it out. So put it on a chip, even. You could put it on a chip.
Well, see,
You
because
know what I mean?
there's a difference between like consciousness and like I think you could record everything that the brain has, what you are, all your memories and all that, and I think you could definitely at a point in time be able to back that up and reproduce it in a virtual whatever or in another body or what have you, whatever you
You're
want.
just downloading data.
But
basically.
is that data? Is that amalgamation of data what consciousness is, or is consciousness there and it allows that data to become processed? Like that's the thing with consciousness for me. Like, can we just copy and paste it? You know what I mean?
Right.
Can we just copy and paste it from the material to the digital, and will that translation be there? Because we know that our brain works on energy, right? So where does that energy come from? Does the brain make it, or is it already there? Like, and I don't even think that has been like figured out yet, or maybe it has, and I'm just totally ignorant.
With Neuralink being an actual chip implanted on your brain, if you can link those neurons to that chip, you should be able to download stuff from those neurons too at a later point when they progress that technology. They should be able to download data, your memories, the things that you saved, because that's really what the brain does is saves memories. Just like a computer.
Terabytes and terabytes.
Let me save this to my computer. That's a 2 megabyte file. It's saved. Same thing that we do with thoughts and whatnot. Maybe this is just a shell of a biological process, because you think about it, our bodies are ran like a car. You got to have certain elements for it to run.
Yep.
Oil. Imagine your blood being the oil, keeping everything lubricated. You have your lungs for the, not like the air intake system, to keep it running. The engine, everything is pieces and parts to make the whole thing run. Mm-hmm. And we have a central nervous system, respiratory system, all that has to work together. And if you could get rid of the biological aspect of it and make it mechanical with, you know, AI and technology and merge, it's all brand new technology. You merge the two first and then eventually go to taking it full mechanical or whatever they want to do. It's a scary thought when you think about it, but it's really happening in the very beginnings of it right now in our life.
The thing is that what we're here for? I mean, if you look if you look at us as a species, you go back, and once invention starts happening, once we start creating things, it's a fucking snowball. It's the snowball.
Exactly.
We create, we consume, we create more, we consume more, we create better, we consume it, we create better than that, we consume it, and it's a fucking snowball that gets bigger and bigger and faster and faster.
Yeah,
and
we're
faster
not going to stop doing that with things we make. There's no cap to it. We're not going to stop.
No, exactly.
It's just not going to happen.
Exactly. But I mean, is that maybe what we are? Are we here to do that? Is that our main function? Our end goal is to
such a good question.
To become that next technology, that next version of sentientness, whatever that may be. Like, is humanity what it is now? Is it just the chrysalis for that new being or consciousness to grow from, right?
Like you said earlier, we can't live on one planet to survive. We have to find other worlds to go to. Don't you think at a certain point in technology, we'd have to find different shells, different vessels? If you can extract data, whether that be consciousness, is all just data files, you can eventually with technology take and put on a drive. You don't think we'd get rid of these fragile shells? You know, these things are fragile as fuck what we live in.
Well, exactly. And I mean, where we go from it, we could shoot off
such a deep question. I'm so glad we can do this podcast,
dude. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I just looked down.
Can talk about some deep shit like this, man.
I just looked down. And I was like, shit. We've already been 2.5 hours in.
Have we really?
Yeah.
For real? Let me see what time it is.
Dude.
I do have to help my girl clean. It's 1:46. She's leaving at 5:45 to go pick her up. I got plenty of time still, so I don't have to get off right now. Everything's good here.
Yeah, just call it whenever you want. We can go for another half hour or so if you'd like.
Dude, this is awesome. See, I like switching between these topics. I was super excited for this podcast and talking about shit like this.
I feel
these are all just our thoughts. Nobody has the answers to this shit at all. Nobody has the answers.
Exactly. And I think more people need to talk like this.
But
even if you don't have all the answers.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it, though, because it just does. If you consider and look at humanity's future, and I'm talking like future, fucking 100,000 years. You know, we've already been around a long ass time. If we figure out advancements, we're only just gonna still be around unless something crazy happens, like the Earth blowing up or some major extinction level event, which
it could happen. You never know.
It happens on a regular cycle. The major extinction events happen on a pretty regular cycle, but now we should have the resources to be able to make it. Shit might happen. You know, I always think about this too. You never know when something's going to happen. Imagine a solar flare, a large one hitting Earth. You'll live. You ain't going to get hurt by it. But imagine
say goodbye to technology.
Yeah, but imagine all your technology that you use to survive. You can't get your paycheck. You can't go to work. Banks issue your money, debit card. Every single piece of anything ran by electricity, gone for 5 years at least. I mean, just 5 years, that's not a long time. But when you don't have that, what's going to happen?
Well, what's going to happen to society? How are people going to fucking react? People are going to fucking lose their minds, right?
Yep. People band together. It'll be like old fucking times.
Oh, big time. I mean, I know. Maybe I say this. I've been saying it a lot, but again, it's that thing of like we all kind of run around in our own reality bubble, not thinking like about those things. Like anything could happen tomorrow, right? Now, I'm not saying start fucking, stocking up
doomsday
food, and I'm not saying that. Although,
hey, they're prepared. They're better off than us.
I mean, like, here, I'll tell you straight out. It might sound funny, but me and my buddy, we have a total plan of attack of what we do if the zombie apocalypse happens. Like,
What would that be?
like down, like where we're meeting, what places we're hitting, where we're holding down, how long we're holding down before we go to our next destination. The end result is island somewhere that I'm not disclosing to anybody, just in case. But yeah, like I mean,
Bro,
that was kind of done
like,
for more shits and giggles. We spent a lot of time. I used to deliver newspapers. He used to roll my I used to pay him to roll the papers for me while I drove and threw them out the window. So we had a lot of time to talk about shit. And so that was one of the things where there's like, so if a zombie apocalypse happens, what do you think? And we just like, all right, let's make this plan out. This is what we're gonna do.
It sounds crazy when you talk zombie apocalypses, but it's not too far off. Some shit like that could happen if you think about it. If there's a disease that turns your brain into, you're just a savage, ruthless fucking cannibal. You know, the mad cow disease. You know, like what if it happens to humans?
Don't even have to be cannibal. What if they're just fucking rage monsters? Just fucking
that's true too. Just
beating you down, like a horde of fucking rage monsters just wanting to fucking beat you with their fucking fists. That's enough. They don't have to try to eat you. You know, like the eating part doesn't have to necessarily be involved in it. Just like a whole bunch of like zombie-like individuals that fucking have rage issues, and when they see other people that aren't zombie-like individuals, they fucking go off and want to smash them in the fucking mud.
Yeah, that would be. And dude, I'm not prepared for that. I'll tell you that right now.
I am.
At least you're fucking steps ahead of me there on that one.
Right?
But it could happen, man, if there's a disease that fucking breaks the brain down to get to that, point.
I know. I mean, I think what is possible in reality, there's way more than what people really want to believe, or they kind of slough off as, I mean, again, odds of happening, astronomical. But how many times have astronomical things happened? They happen.
Right, exactly.
They fucking happen, man. Right? They happen. So it's weird. Life is such a weird thing, because we tend to live in a bubble of everyday, go to job, got my routine, pay my bills, succeed, make better life. And I don't think we spend enough time in the realm like we are right now of talking about stuff that might never happen, or the chances of them happening so astronomical. But
or at least not them happening in our lifetime.
Right? But that aspect, that thinking, that using your brain in that way is not only creative, but allows us to digest things that we might not normally be able to comprehend or digest, or allow us to look at something from a different angle so that when something happens later, we're able to cope with it.
At least there's certain planes being in effect for astronomical events like that. People thinking ahead as far as meteor strikes go. They're working on stuff now that's a real threat. You have space rocks rolling around from the Oort cloud is the most dangerous place the space rocks can come from, because all it is, you have the asteroid belt between Mars and I believe Jupiter. You have them between Mars and Jupiter, and the gravity of Jupiter, it's so large. It's such a huge fucking planet. It holds all those rocks from the beginning of our solar system in place. But sometimes some shit happens with gravity. A rock will hit one another. They're all in perfect unison, but sometimes something will happen. One's on the very edge of the gravitational pull of Jupiter, slam into another rock, and it's coming our way.
Yeah.
And we get close calls all the time. Back in I think 2016 in Chelyabinsk, whatever the fuck, Russia. Chelyabinsk, Russia.
Yeah,
there was that meteor.
I remember seeing
I watched videos of the whole town
ripping across the screen, and everything was like shaking. Yeah.
Yep, everything. It was an airburst event, but it was enough to injure over 1,000 people. That's pretty. I mean, the thing wasn't even fucking near you. It was the size of a car.
Yeah, it was like a Volkswagen.
When it hit the atmosphere,
wasn't it? Yeah, it was something like the size of a Volkswagen Beetle or something.
Yeah, busting out all the windows, blew walls down on buildings. So they're trying to think of ways to. That one was a scary event because that wasn't seen coming. The large ones are obviously documented in NASA's logs on what could be a potential collision. But let's say one does get hurled towards us and we know about it. Armageddon is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I love it too.
I love that movie. But they're thinking of gravitational pullers. Pretty much think of tugboats for ships, but using gravity. they send up these objects because they don't want to blow them up with nukes or anything like that, because then one object will turn into fucking 15 or 20,
15,000 radioactive objects.
Yeah, that's true too.
Right.
But they want to encase something larger than the asteroid and catch its gravity. And if you imagine the analogy of a large ship on the ocean, you are going straight across the ocean, but if you turn that fucking wheel just not even a quarter of an inch, by the time you made it all the way, it has veered so much off course that it's going to miss. Exactly. So that's what they're trying to do with those. It doesn't have to be a large gravitational pull at all.
Yeah, just give it a nudge, and then it'll veer off on its own, right? Because it's on a different trajectory. It's weird, right? Like, all these things could happen, and we really don't prepare for it at all. Even though we know it's a possibility, but we kind of just hedge our bets on the fact that it probably won't. And that's kind of fucking weird, isn't it? Isn't that a little weird? That
out of sight, out of mind is what it is.
Out of sky, out of mind?
Out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, I think
you don't see it, so...
Yeah, and I mean, it's I don't know. I don't know what would happen. Like, even if the scenario was like it hit and it didn't like take out anything major around me or you or something, but we went into fucking a winter again or something like that. It was how would we survive that way? Like, why don't we try to take this stuff into consideration? Like, I think about it. Obviously, you think about it. We can't be the only ones. Is it just because the people that are really thinking about it don't have any way to deal with it? Like, I don't like why. I could ask why 1,000 times, man. I don't get so many things about this planet that we live on. When we have the ability to be able to do so much, but we just spend our time fucking canceling each other out, trying to make as much money as we can, and fucking I don't know. I don't get it. Trying to control people, trying to make people the way that we think they should be.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense at all.
And again,
not at all.
Again, it's like the majority of people seem to fucking know this, but nothing really changes. Is it just the stupid people have control? Like, I don't get it.
I don't know either. I don't know.
I mean, it frustrates me, but I try not to concentrate on it because it just frustrates me. It's like a fucking bad loop, you know? It just fucking keeps repeating itself over and over and over and over and over. And we all know it's fucking repeating himself, but no one fucking hits the stop button.
Yeah, it's weird that people think about this stuff because, like you said, it's not just me and you. There's millions that think about this type of shit. And they just don't do anything about it because they feel like they can't, whatever. And if you think about it, the scientists that are researching stuff like this and actually doing something they are so outnumbered by the people millions who think about it but aren't doing anything about it. So it's very limited.
And that's another whole thing there. Like, the political realm of science is a fucking just horrible. Scientists don't even want to fucking admit when something is factual, scientifically proven, if it disputes what they already fucking said.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is that about? They actively push away real data because they don't like the fact that it contradicts with the data that they had before.
Yeah, that's true too.
Like,
or they discredit
all the time.
Yeah, or they discredit their partners and their peers, like Avi Loeb. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
They do it when the people are right, though.
Yeah.
Right? They discredit people that are right. It's not even like that this is all pie in the eye bullshit. These are people that have scientific proof on things that are getting suppressed.
Avi Loeb is the writer he works at Harvard. He's a professor and astrophysicist. And he released a paper on that that space rock, Umama, whatever it was called.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That
He said that it
ovally
could have
shaped
been
one.
alien. Yeah, he said it could have been alien technology, like a light sail or something. Everything that object did defied the laws of
Wasn't
physics,
right.
and
Yeah.
he studied it so hard, and it was a theory. That's all. He didn't prove anything, but it was a theory. It was the first interstellar object into our solar system, and the way it moved and sped up after it already sped up, doing the gravitational pull and slingshot around the sun, nothing added up with it at all. And his peers, who are also astrophysicists, discredited him. How are you not going to just have an open mind as a scientist and be like, did we witness that for the first time? Just instantly, no, this guy is, we don't condone that. Like, what the fuck's that about?
I don't know. It's weird, right? Because it's like
there's a first for everything in science. Every day.
I thought the whole idea of science, of being a scientist, is to explore these things, and not to like say no until you've 100% proven it. And if you can't prove it, then you don't say it's no. You say we can't prove it yet. So we put a pin in it, right? And we work on it every now and again. We come back to it every now and again until we can prove yes or no. But science doesn't seem to want to work that way anymore. At least when you look at it it seems to be more political, more bravado, and I'm right. Here's my proof, and no one can ever dispute me being right. And then when it does happen, when the proof does come, it's like, no, he's uncredible. He hasn't done the real work. It's this or that, or we suppress his papers. No one sees it, and it's like, how are we like? It's like stupidity has corrupted everything to the point that like we're cutting our own fucking legs off. We can't walk, right? Like, I wish I was smarter. You know what I mean?
I know,
wish I was smarter. I wish I was capable. Another reason why I wish I could live like 300 years. I could get fucking smarter. Maybe I could, like it fucking drives me crazy sometimes trying to like understand it. Ego. It's fucking ego.
Yeah,
like,
it totally is.
It's ego. Like, why? I get it. We need ego to an extent. It keeps us alive. It gives us the guts and courage sometimes to do things that we wouldn't normally do, right? Ego can be good, but it seems to be so much more fucking worse for us than it helps us. Like, ego crushes us, or crushes us from growth, it seems, and that's one of the things I try to work with the most is keeping my ego in check, right? Knowing that I'm just a little fucking ant running around on a big fucking rock, spinning millions of fucking miles an hour in the middle of a fucking abyss of fucking endlessness. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, we are nothing. We're nothing. We've been here for a blink of an eye in the galactic scale of things.
Oh yeah, the whole cosmic scale of things, we have not been here at all, basically. At all.
Right? Exactly. And I mean, we still act like we have all the time in the world, and that everything we do will work itself out if we fucking just let it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It all frustrates me and confuses me. But I gotta say, I do like talking about it. I don't know why.
I know, so do I. It's so interesting, but it's just one of those things that what can you do? What can you do? But yeah, when you think deep about these topics, it's just like right now, leaving me speechless just thinking about half of the shit. It really does.
Oh, I feel you, right? Because I mean, I always say, like, existence is finite. We're only here for a certain amount of time. And to really want to, like, make the most and get the most out of that time, I think what we're doing right now, the talking, the exploring, the opening your mind, the keeping yourself open to anything, is really the only way to truly just try to absorb everything we can while we're here, right?
Right.
And to not reject it, to not like say no, that's wrong. Especially like so many people say things are wrong when they don't even have the information to back it up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, all the time, everywhere, with everything.
Right?
You know,
And
people think they're always right, and you know they just talk shit, basically.
no, exactly. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I'm not a scientist. I have a fucking grade 10 education. I figured shit out my own, you know, books. Now I have access to podcasts and such. Makes things so much better.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing too. I wish I would have paid attention more in school because I didn't really. You know, I just went there and did it.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I researched and learned about came from after I was in school watching documentaries, listening to science speeches, and I'm interested in that shit. That is what, you know, I wish I would have paid more attention in history, social studies, and shit like that, and I didn't.
Dude, you don't
And
even want to
you
get
could
me
learn
started
so
on
much.
school. You don't even want to get me started on school. Like, dude, our educational systems, both yours, ours, North America, most educational systems that are set up like ours, they're fucking useless.
Yeah, they are.
They're
They really are.
designed to make us fall in line. School is designed to make you go get a job and be willing to fucking do bullshit you don't want to do day in and day out. They give you just enough information to make you viable as a fucking worker. That is it, right?
Yep, that's true.
They put you in little fucking rooms. They make you work 9 to 5, like not obviously 9 to 5, but it's that mentality that they're ingraining into us. And then to top it off, if you ask any teacher, any fucking educator, anyone, you go up to them and say, "Do all people learn the same way?" And they will tell you 100% of the time, no, they don't. Yet we still try to teach our children all the exact same way, knowing that they don't all learn that way and expect them all to have a positive result. Like,
it's a great point.
You're setting fucking people up to fail right off the hop. Right off the fucking hop. And then you're educating them with shit that they're probably never going to use.
Oh, yeah, 100%. There's
right?
90% of the shit I learned in school. The only thing I learned in school was to wake up early and work that fucking 8 to 5 or whatever, 8 to 3, because it got, I mean, your, you know, biological clock, you know, you get used to that. And the fact that you listen to a teacher, which is later in life a boss, you know, that's it. Yeah, all the shit, the trigonometry and calculus and all that, I'm not using. I never will. So much shit that you absorb things that you learn, like, you know, in history books maybe, but when it comes to all the shit that you did, writing down equations and all that extra bullshit, you don't use that.
Now, I mean, I definitely support an educational system. Listen, my kids were home for a bit doing the online schooling. I know why I'm not a teacher. Okay? I know why I'm not a teacher. That experience showed me exactly why I am not a teacher. Okay? But we do need an educational system. And it's like fucking everything else that we've kind of talked about today. It's like we know the fucking problem, but we refuse to have a solution.
Yep.
Right? Like, we really do. Our educational system...
If we had a system that was different, designed different, it would be probably a good thing. It needs change. Like you said, it's just shit.
There's a lot of positives to the school system. I believe social interaction is a huge deal. Huge deal. You need to learn how to deal with people, how to handle yourself in a large, you know, amount of people situation. And you need that. You need to learn how to build friendships and camaraderie and you need all that stuff. And I think school is very, very good for that. I don't think it's much good for anything else. I really don't.
No, you're right about that.
I think, of course, we should all learn to read. We should all learn to write, although I don't know how long that stuff's going to actually exist for anymore. But I still think at this point in time in our society, those are things we need to have. Okay? So I get that. But the rest of the way, the things that we're taught, especially once we get, you know, grade 8, 9, and up into high school, it's fucking ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, they try to put thoughts in your head that high school is a point in time to figure out where your career path, what you want to do, and that thing. But then the actual teaching and what they're teaching you is it's not gonna be useful, right?
No, not at all.
It's not gonna be useful at all. I think we need more of an educational system that, you know, and people don't like when I say this, okay? But you should take people that learn differently and put them together, right? Like, you don't take everyone and teach them fucking one way. If this person learns better auditorial, listening to books or whatever, and they learn better that way than reading a fucking book, then let them learn it that way. If this person learns better by reading a fucking book, let them read the book. We should be focused more on the end result, not how we achieved the end result. Do you get what I'm saying?
That's a great point. No, totally. 100%.
And we focus way too much on how we're trying to achieve it, not what the end result really should be.
Mhm.
Right? And okay, yeah, it might be harder to do. Granted. Teachers might have to teach things differently. Granted. You know? But why not just fucking pay the teachers what they deserve, allow them to develop a working system of education that is not the same for everybody? It doesn't have to be. This whole thought process that everything has to be the same for everybody is fucking bullshit and makes no sense at all. At all. What is good for me isn't necessarily good for you. Something I can eat, you might not be able to eat. So it makes sense that something I learn, you might not be able to learn it that fucking way. So if I want to teach it to you, let's find a fucking way to do it. Because if you can't learn it that way, that person probably can't, and that person probably can't, and that person probably can't either. So let's get them all together and teach them the way they can fucking learn. Instead of just cramming information down people that can't fucking digest it properly, and then going, gee, why are they not passing their grades? Oh, they're not passing, so now let's fucking implement a system that they don't ever really fucking fail. We just make shit fucking easier for them and push them along the fucking line. And then when they get to fucking college, wonder why they can't fucking figure out what the hell to do. And then we won't even get into college because that's a fucking whole other just mess up fucking realm of education.
No, look, man, those are amazing points. That makes sense, man. Like, I know, to get back on Elon Musk real quick, he's making a school program actually, but it's more for gifted
Uber
students.
People. Yes.
Yeah, it's more for them. But if there was an educational system designed like that, I mean, you could even benefit from, if you got kids that learn differently in the same room, you could benefit from that kid learning this way, that kid learning that way, and not keeping shit, compartmentalized, and they could work together maybe to find a solution to something that normally wouldn't have been able to figure out, a more mainstream way.
Well, that's it.
Get some people that learn differently and they learn differently that way on that one path line to, really get good at what, the way they learn and figure shit out, and then cross paths, cross pollinate ideas.
Well, exactly.
Shit, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous because it's literally been that way for decades, and it doesn't get any better at all. People are fucking coming out of school stupider than they have ever been, and
that's true.
Some people might get mad at me.
100%.
Oh, you being mean, calling people stupid. Stupid is what stupid does. Okay, I know that's a cliche movie line. It's fucking true though. Okay, It really fucking is. And if we're producing stupid fucking people, okay, how can we expect things to fucking get better? Right? It's like I was saying right at the beginning, talking about teaching our children, right? Like it has nothing to do with us now. It has to do with our kids and how we teach them and how they teach their kids. Right?
Yep. I'm a little scared for, like, my daughter's going to be 5. What is it going to be like when she's, in her 30s?
Oh, dude.
40s and 50s. That's just
I know.
Some weird
I feel
thoughts.
you. Like, the whole reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of that. I don't. When I was brought up, I don't know if you're a little bit younger than me, so it might not have quite been that way for you anymore. But when I was brought up, I still heard that old fucking line: go to school, get a good education, get a good job, stay with them to retirement. At 60 some odd years, you go retire, you do your own thing. Okay? Now, that was the way of the world at one point in time. It was. The fact of the matter is, though, when my parents were teaching it to me, that was coming to an end. And they really didn't know any better. They didn't have any better ways of teaching me how to go out there and try to make life happen. They didn't. So then I have kids.
It's different now.
Right? So then I have kids now. And I go to myself, what am I going to tell my kids? I can't tell them to go to school. School system's fucked. Right? I can't tell them to get a good job. There aren't no real good jobs unless you're, uber smart, extremely overly motivated. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can find stuff that'll get you by, but I know more people that are not going to retire than that are. Right? I mean, when you go to Walmart, is it a teenager giving you a cart or is it an old person?
Right.
And do you think that old person is there because they like giving carts to fucking people?
Nope.
Right?
Yeah, it's a super good point.
Okay?
Yeah.
Those were people that were told, go to school, get a good job, find a good company, stay with them.
There's so many ways to make money now. I mean, there's so many other ways to learn and things you're good at. There's a lot more opportunity now,
But unless you're taught that,
yeah, exactly.
You're not going to look for it. You're going to go be a drone and get another job and maybe work in a factory. And I'm not knocking that. We need people to do that. But how long will that last for? How long do we have those kind of jobs? All right? I have my buddy, my bestest friend. His name's DJ. He used to work for a grocery store company. We have two major ones. I forget which one it was. Anyways, he forklift in the fridge, in the freezer, moved stuff around, brought it to trucks, loaded, unloaded, put them in the freezer. That's what he did. That was his job. Great job. Liked it. He's like, cold, but they give us warm clothes. It's good money, right? He doesn't have that job anymore. Why? Because the whole building went automated. A robot now does his job.
Wow. Yeah, that's happening more and more these days, too.
When COVID hit, there was a big branch of stuff that started looking into the electronics end of things taking over. Okay? Now, AI systems are so good now already that they can do full automation on phone lines and answering and picking up and calling out. All that stuff can be done all through AI. And I bet you've answered the phone and talked to an AI and didn't even know it was an AI.
Oh, I'm sure.
Do you know how good my fucking TTS sounds in chat?
Mm-hmm.
They have way better TTSs that sound just like people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
That's a part of that deepfake, too, using AI to create voice.
Exactly. Right?
I do have to end the podcast, though.
Oh, dude, that's cool, man. We've been like 3 hours, brother. It's all good.
I know it's been a while. My girl, she is cleaning downstairs. I need to help her. She's having one of her clients come to the house, and I'm going to help her.
That's cool, bro.
It was supposed to be tomorrow, but she told me this morning, and I didn't think it would go this long anyway. But I've been having a blast talking about all this stuff.
That's good. No, listen, dude, not a problem. We'll wind this thing down right now. Thank you so much again for doing this with me, dude. I would do this once a month with you if you'd be down with it. Or
totally
once every 2 months, whatever.
About different shit.
But yeah, I would totally be down with, like, once a month, setting up a date and just talking about crazy shit that's going on. I'm really, really, really enjoying this conversation. But dude, why don't you drop all your information for everyone that might want to check you out? I'll make sure I'll put it in the description as well, so anyone wants to check you out.
I'm going to share it after it's uploaded. I'm going to share it in our Discord as well, and just
perfect.
With a quick post just about some of the topics we talked about, and ripping the bong here and there, and just it's a good time. It was a great conversation, man. I loved it.
I really, really did. And I thank you for doing it with me, my man.
Yes, no problem. But anybody who does watch this that doesn't already follow my channel, twitch.tv/Metaljunkie919, I'm sure he will have my name.
I'm gonna put all the links in the description,
so
you guys will be able to get it there. But also, like you said, You can check him out on Twitch. Please do, if you don't already, make sure you go check him out. It's a great stream to hang out with. Also, Monday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, the big, beautiful, bearded bastards get together to do some Warzone. That's myself, Metal Junkie, and Deathstroke. So guys can always plug into that too. It's a good time. But thank you again for being here.
I have a blast with those as well. Everybody.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying them. I'm so glad you guys kind of accepted me into your little group.
Dude, I'm so glad I found you as a streamer, man. Like, it hasn't been that long that I've known you, but I truly enjoy your content. It's always a blast hanging out in your streams.
Thank you.
Just the positivity and energy you give off. It's a stream where you could literally jump in the chat and not plan to be there that long, get some shit done, but all of a sudden it's fucking 2 hours later and you're like, man, that's
I drag you in.
Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, dude, it's awesome. It's awesome.
That's good. So thank you again, my man. I'm going to just end this, and then I'm going to just say goodbye to you off camera real quick. But thank you again, everybody who checked it out. If you don't follow, make sure you hit the follow. Check us out on Twitch. We're streaming multiple times a week. I stream 5 days a week. How many days a week do you usually stream? 3 to 4?
I stream only the days that my girl doesn't work or the days I'm off, but it's hard for me to make a set schedule because her days off vary. But every day I try.
All right, so make sure you follow them, and then you'll know because your notifications will be on.
Yeah.
But thank you again, everybody, for coming out and checking out the podcast, Show Without a Name. I love having you there. You guys are all amazing people. Even if it's your first time here, you're still an amazing person. Everyone is. You just got to look for it. Again, thank you so much, Junkie, for being here and hanging out with me. I loved it. We're definitely going to do this again soon. Okay, everybody, you know how I like to end these things. We'll catch you on the flip-flop, and I am out.